Will the meeting please come to order? Today is Tuesday, February the 4th, 2025. This is the second council meeting of 2025 and the 31st meeting of the current term of the Metropolitan Council of Nashville and Davidson County. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation is being offered this evening by Dr. Ray Miller. He is the pastor of Crevewood Baptist Church. Pastor Miller is the guest of District 26 Council Member Courtney Johnston. Go ahead, sir.
Our God, we thank you for our beautiful city and the opportunity to bless the world through our city. We pray that Nashville will be a shining light, a city on a hill, a place where connection and compassion, peace and prosperity, mercy and justice reign. We especially lift up Antioch High School and the family of Jocelyn Diana Correa Escalante. Sometimes we do not have the words to express our grief and frustration, but we know that your spirit groans and intercedes for us. Give this council the courage and wisdom to tackle the hardest issues facing Nashville. Give them the unity of mind to seek the prosperity and peace of all who come to live here. In an age of division and dissonance, may Nashville be a place of hope and healing, comfort and charity, joy and jubilation. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Miller. Welcome to February Council. Members of the Nashville community are celebrating the Lunar New Year, and Black History Month is underway, both at a time in our nation when it is especially important for us as local elected officials to highlight that Nashville's diversity in all its many beautiful forms is one of Nashville's greatest strengths. We've had a harrowing start to 2025. Just one day after our last council meeting, shots rang out inside Antioch High School. A dear young woman is dead, and her family, friends, and teachers are grieving. A disturbed young man turned a gun on himself. This was a horrifying tragedy, the echoes of which will not be forgotten. We cannot and must not become inured to the trauma of gun violence in and around our schools or anywhere in our city. Our children should not live in fear, and they are rightly marching and calling on leaders at all levels of government. I know all the council members representing the Antioch area have stepped up in the past 2 weeks to help throughout the Antioch community, and in solidarity, we are all wearing Antioch blue, and our historic courthouse and city hall is illuminated in blue this evening. I want to recognize Councilman Harrell, especially as he represents the district that includes Antioch High School. Councilman Harrell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Colleagues, as you know, an unthinkable tragedy happened last week at Antioch High School. First and foremost, my heartfelt condolences goes out to the family of Jocelyn. No family wants to lose their child, and their family did not deserve this. As we grieve and begin the long journey of healing as a community, I encourage everyone to continue to uplift Antioch High School, its students, faculty, and families. I would like to extend my gratitude to all of our community partners for their ongoing support during this difficult time. Thank you to our first responders, MMPD, MMPS, and everyone who assisted and supported our community. Together, we are committed to the healing and supporting Antioch High School. Antioch, we are strong. We have always been strong, and we will continue to be. Thank you for your unwavering support of Antioch High School and our community.
Thank you. Thank you very much, council member. All right. Without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to please record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 21st, 2025? Okay, and I hear a second. There's a motion properly seconded without objection. And seeing no one seeking to be recognized for a change to the minutes of the meeting of January 21st are approved. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, we're going to roll right into our agenda, Section E, appointees and nominees. This portion of the agenda shares all persons that were scheduled to appear before the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee this evening. Referrals back to committee will be by rule as part of the council's two-meeting process for all elections and confirmations. No votes will be taken by the body in this section of the agenda other than for deferrals. Chair Prep T, committee report, please. First, for any withdrawals and/or deferrals, if there are any.
There are no withdrawals or deferrals.
Okay. Then Chair Prep T, next, please, for a very brief summary report with the name of the board or commission and the persons who were interviewed today and will be referred back for confirmation consideration on February 18th.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor, for the appointment of Frank Stevenson to the Metro Development and Housing Agency Board, as well as the Hospital Authority appointment of Dr. Chinke Nezru, as well as the Public Library Board reappointment of Kathy Varney, and the Sustainability Advisory Committee appointment of Dr. Catherine Armwood. Those were voted, excluding Dr. Armwood, those were voted 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. For the Sustainability Advisory Committee appointment of Dr. Catherine Armwood, as well as the Zoning Appeals Board reappointment of Christina Karpnek, those were voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So you're recognized again for now in the section of our agenda. Again, all those folks will be re-referred to committee for confirmation consideration. So now on to Section F, confirmations. You're recognized again for your committee report on the appointees in the second step of your committee's two-meeting process and a consolidated motion, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. For the Human Relations Commission appointment of Kara Ince, as well as the Solid Waste Region Board reappointment of Demita Beck-Taylor, and the Transportation and Licensing Commission appointment of William Allen Sloan. The committee voted 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and with that, I move approval.
Thank you. Properly moved and seconded. There's a motion to confirm these 3 appointees. Is there anyone seeking to remove anyone from this consolidated motion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Council has confirmed Ms. Kara Ince to the Human Relations Commission. If you have returned this evening, which is not required in the second step, please do stand as I say your name, and then we'll have a collective applause at the end. Thank you, Ms. Ince. Council has confirmed the reappointment of Demita Beck-Taylor to the Solid Waste Region Board. And lastly, council has confirmed the appointment of William Allen Sloan to the Transportation and Licensing Commission. We appreciate everyone's willingness to serve and congratulate you. Thank you very much. All right, council members, in section G of our agenda, nominations. Members will have received a memo from me, 2 meetings, I think, now passed, for nominations, a call for nominations for the Health and Educational Facilities Board. These are nominations to fill 1 vacancy on the board with a term that will expire on September 30th of 2026. If you would like to make a nomination, if you would please enter the queue. Okay. Ms. Allen, you are recognized for a nomination.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to nominate Matt Wiltshire.
Okay. Councilwoman Allen has nominated Matt Wiltshire. Are there any additional nominations from council members to the Health and Ed Facilities Board? Okay, that will conclude our nominations. Next, we are moving into our regular public comment period. Members of the public who are Tennessee residents wishing to speak may sign up outside the chamber on the day of the scheduled meeting for our regular public comment between 5 and 6 p.m. on the day of a scheduled meeting. Public comment is limited to 20 minutes total for our regular public comment at council meeting, and each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. I do want to clarify off the top is we're going to have a regular public comment, a pre-budget public comment, we're going to have resolutions on public hearing, and then we're going to have ordinances on public hearing. And this evening, Spanish interpretation services are provided for all Metro Council public hearings and will also be provided this evening for both the regular public comment and the pre-budget public comment. Council Office Team Member Karina Valdez is here as the interpreter. Ms. Valdez, will you please share how you can help?
Los servicios de interpretación en español estarán disponibles en la audiencia pública. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Valdez. We appreciate you very much. All right, and so this applies then to all our public comments and public hearings. I do want to state that for those wishing to speak this evening, whether as part of our public comment or public hearings, please do state your name, but it is not required for you to provide your address if you do not wish to do so. You may want to tell us in what neighborhood or area you live, what your connection to an agenda item or project is, or who your council member is, okay? All right, so first then, for regular public comment, we only have one person who has signed up. That is Ms. Verna Wyatt. She is here to speak on agenda item 82. That is ordinance BL 2025-690, sponsor Horton, and she is here in support. Go ahead, Ms. Wyatt, you're recognized.
Hi, I am co-founder of Tennessee Voices for Victims, and I've been a victim advocate for 30 years. And I know I've seen the devastation of violent crime, and I know it's very important to solve those crimes and get the perpetrators off the street so that they don't re-victimize other innocent people. I'm here to support the FUSIS policy bill, and I want to thank Councilmember Horton for his leadership in looking for safeguards that might alleviate some of the fears of the council people about abuse of the system. This system, we want it to do exactly what it's supposed to do. We want it to solve crime and take the offenders off of the street. And hopefully, you all will feel more comfortable with this ordinance. And I just thank you for considering it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, that will conclude the regular public comment. And next agenda item I is our pre-budget public comment. This time is dedicated specifically to allow the council to hear general comments and public requests for the operating budget and the capital improvements budget. Those folks here were kind to arrive ahead and get signed up. You were provided a number at sign up, and there is also a posted list with those numbers. You will be called forward by our kind staff in groups of 10. It is imperative that no more than 10 people be standing, and that those 10, please, do not block ingress and egress from our main doors for fire safety purposes, okay? So please do respect our staff in the process and do not queue too deeply, or if you're going to queue past the door, sir, that's fine. You just need to hold a gap or space so as not to cover or block the doorway, okay? So first, on our sign-up sheet for pre-budget public comment is Luke Ansel. You're recognized. Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name's Luke Ansel. I operate Cecil's Skate Shop in East Nashville, and I'm here to advocate for more skate parks in our city. Recently, many of the neighboring cities have added skate parks and have only seen growth since. Murfreesboro, Springfield, Cookeville, Dixon. There's many benefits that come with adding skate parks to a city, and it's time for Nashville to embrace this major part of its community. We have an abundance of beautiful parks in our city, and I believe every single one of them deserves a new skate park, including but not limited to Shelby Bottoms, Watkins Park, Sevier Park, Dragon Park, Centennial Park, just to name a few. These are all places I absolutely adore, full of childhood memories, and the surrounding areas of these parks would see so much growth and increased value if we added skate parks to them. More than just offering a safe space for skateboarders, bikers, inline skaters, and scooter riders, having more skate parks would provide a lot more traffic and commerce for local businesses and vendors. The only public skate park we have at the moment is at Two Rivers, which is close to 20 years now. It's decayed and eroded. Its design is rather unique and definitely not for everyone, to say the least. I personally love the park, but it's certainly not beginner-friendly and can be rather intimidating to those getting started. More and more of the youth is constantly immersed in screens, whether it's video games or TikTok. Having access to more skate parks will decrease that screen time and give the youth more opportunities to connect on a human level. I believe we can make a real difference for the future generations of our city by adding more safe spaces for individuals participating in all-wheeled activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lisa Gale Watwood.
Good
Go ahead.
afternoon. My name is Lisa Watwood, and I reside in District 12 in Hermitage. With the population growth in Nashville also comes a significant growth in the pet population that Nashville cannot continue to ignore. Metro Animal Care and Control stays full and at times are unable to receive animals. All rescues are full and are not accepting animals. Because of this, dumping animals is at an unprecedented high. I'm currently fostering 2 dogs that were dumped at Nashville shores that would have been euthanized at MAC. While I agree Metro Animal Care and Control desperately needs a new facility, I think it is more important to address the source of the problem: pet overpopulation and Nashville's lack of affordable spay-neuter options. We have Pet Community Center, however, they stay continuously booked out. Their prices vary from $80 to $125. Those prices are a lot less expensive than a vet, but still not affordable for some lower-income families. I would like to see funding set aside to provide more affordable and perhaps free spay-neuter options for those that qualify. A spay-neuter vehicle to travel to some of the lower-income neighborhoods to assist those who are unable to get to a facility is a great affordable plan. The Humane Society of the United States recently provided these statistics. 1.5 million dogs and cats are euthanized in shelters annually. It is time that Nashville does their part to lower these statistics. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Mackenzie Selander.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Willow Sealander, and I am also here to advocate for more skate parks in Nashville. I've lived here for almost 5 years now, and when I first moved here, Two Rivers Skate Park was the sole reason why I found community. Skate parks provide an abundance of community, along with promoting physical activity and in-person socialization, a fundamental necessity that is severely lacking in this modern world and in our youth. In turn, by providing more skate parks, we are deterring people from spending so much time chronically online. They are free, inclusive to everyone, and they get people outside, which promotes more foot activity for local businesses and restaurants. So Nashville is growing at a rapid rate, and with so many beautiful parks, let's continue to enhance this amazing place with more skate parks and make them more accessible for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jody Bell.
Good evening. My name is Jody Bell, and I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Nashville, Tennessee, where I have practiced for about 25 years representing poor people throughout my practice who have been charged with serious crimes. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Don Diener, who is a former elected public defender and is now the executive director of the nonprofit Choosing Justice Initiative. Together, we're here on behalf of the IDEA Pilot Project, which was funded by this council last year. My sincerest thanks to all of you for trusting us to start this program. IDEA stands for Indigent Defense and Excellence in Advocacy. This program, through supplemental pay for criminal defense lawyers, provides experienced defense attorneys to Nashvillians who have been charged with serious felonies who cannot be represented by the Nashville public defenders due to a conflict, a legal conflict. Since we started the program this past November, we've been able to provide counsel for 23 Nashvillians accused of crimes. These are cases where the judges in our county, in many instances, cannot find lawyers who are available and have the experience to represent these people on serious cases. Appointing experienced attorneys saves the city money by reducing the time people spend as pretrial detainees in Nashville's jails. It ensures fairness to people accused of crimes, and it reduces the time that victims wait for the resolution of cases. This funding provided by Metro for this service is necessary because state funding is woefully inadequate, and in today's current environment where people's rights appear to be slipping away daily, continuing funding this program is a unique opportunity for the city. In closing, we thank the council for your leadership in funding this program last year. The IDEA Pilot Project is consistent with the council's long history of providing transformative and just programs. We continue to look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Thank you, Ms. Diener. Next is Antone Christensen Galena.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Hello. So my name is Antone Christensen Galena, and last year you all appointed me to the Housing Trust Fund Commission. You might know it as the Barnes Fund. I don't need to tell you all how bad things are for anyone who pays rent or dreams of buying a house. So my duty as commissioner is to make sure that the money you allocate is best used to serve Nashville. So far, the fund has led to the building and protection of almost 5,000 units, with another 1,380 currently on the way. The fund acts as a seed fund, bringing in other investors. Each dollar you allocated was multiplied tenfold through private sector, state, and federal funding. Last year, we distributed $15 million in additional funds from the federal government. That took us up to $45 million last year, but unfortunately, that funding is gone now. We can expect no aid from the federal government now. State funding is also at risk, and our partners are scared. We now have to rely on the wealth of our city and the strength of our institutions. Even with the $45 million last year, we had to say no to or scale back many amazing projects. There's an assisted living facility for severely disabled adults that won't be able to provide all the care they could have. Less funding meant fewer homes, meaning that fewer people get the supportive services that the nonprofit would have provided. The vision of Nashville that this fund helps manifest is that of a city where nonprofits and government work together. And through our collective efforts, we build thriving communities. I ask you to fill the gap left by the end of federal funds. I ask you to allocate $50 million to the Barnes Fund and build homes for Nashvillians.
Thank you. Next is Derica Lowe Mitchell.
Good afternoon. My name is Derica Mitchell, excuse me, and I'm a dispatcher with the Emergency Communications Center. Nashville is my home and where I am proudly raising my family. So much of what you're going to hear about over the next few months are these budget meetings, which only be made possible because of Metro employees. The need for increased spaces for the youth in our city means more hours and more resources will be needed at community centers and libraries. The increased need for public safety in our schools and on our streets means more resources and will be needed by teachers and support staff. The desire to make our city more walkable and clean means more resources in our NDOT department. All of the ways we work, live, and play in this city is made possible because of the work that is done, usually behind the scenes, by Metro employees. Please remember that as a Mercer study comes across your desk, it isn't just about our pay as individuals. It is about being fully staffed and qualified individuals across the country, across the county, who live here and want to see our children, our neighbors, and our city thrive. A yearly COLA and a continued reflection of the CPI will help ensure that the resources are there. It is intertwined in a budget that reflects the value of who we are. Please remember that, and thank you for your service in our community.
Thank you. Next is Kimberly Diane Smith Tucker.
You know my whole name.
Yeah, all four of them are on here. Welcome to you.
Wow. All right, well, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Tucker. I work for Metro Action at our new location on Murfreesboro Road. I'm a customer engagement coach, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself and share a bit about where I live and work. I live in East Nashville, home of so much gentrification, and I'd like to keep my home. I've worked so hard for it, so please just help me. I've been working for Metro Action for 9 years, and as many as you know, it's very important to make Metro Action continue to play a vital role in our community. We help so many families. It's crucial that we are considered in all raise requests, as well as other Metro agencies that are being made by the City Council and the Mayor. The well-being of everyone in our city, especially those of us who are employed by the government, hinges on fair and equitable wages. Employees now, we need fair wages to stay at Metro Action and to keep it running. We have so few employees there that so many of us are doing so much of the work for all of Davidson County. It's just a couple of us there. And our community needs quality employees who know their job and how to give quality customer service. A quick Google search states, it just tells you easily that to live in Nashville, it takes at least $80,000 to live here comfortably. We're not even asking for that much. We are all striving to thrive in this beautiful city we call home, and it's essential that we don't get overlooked in these discussions. Together, let's advocate for our right to earn a living wage that reflects our hard work and our dedication. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Donna Clay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donna Clay. I am a proud member of SEIU and a dedicated support staff for MMPS, 10 years. Today I stand here urging you to fully fund MMPS budget requests. We need a decent COLA, for the cost of living in Tennessee continues to rise, making it difficult for support staff to make support staff like myself to afford basic needs. It is only that the people who serve the city is able to keep up with the rising costs. In addition, we must explore adding more pay days for support staff, because when kids out of school, we don't get paid. So we need them extra days back. There is several weeks in a year we receive a paycheck, what makes it nearly impossible to budget and save for vacation days. And this is unstable the future, combined by the facts. The summer funding for many of us has been eliminated with the expiration of the ESTA fund. Support staff plays a critical in ensuring that our school runs smoothly and the students receive the care and the support they need. Yet I love to feed my babies. Yet, and often too much we overlook, it has come to welfare wages and job security. The Mercer studies that you will present does not include Metro employees. I urge you to invest into the people who invest into your children. Fully fund MMPS and address the additional pay days so that support staff can continue to do their job without further financial hardship. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Before you start, Mr. Crinks, if I may, I see our staff has invited the next 10 speakers to line up. Thank you all very much. Please make sure you are leaving a gap in front of our doorway, okay? So maybe there's 5-ish people, then there's a gap, and then there's 5-ish more people, okay? Please maintain that gap. Okay, Mr. Crinks, go ahead, please, sir.
Sure. Greetings, my name is Andrew Crinks. I live in District 21, and I'm here tonight representing the Nashville People's Budget Coalition. During the last 5 years, our organization has engaged nearly 10,000 Nashville residents about the challenges they face and how they want the city to respond. The two things we have heard the most by far are as follows. First, nearly everyone we have engaged has been clear that every person in this city should have access to high-quality, accessible, and permanently affordable housing, period. While progress has certainly been made along these lines, the absence of deeply and permanently affordable housing for all residents will remain a crisis if we continue to merely chip away at the problem little by little. Such an approach guarantees that more people than can even fit in these chambers will die and be displaced in the years ahead, and it doesn't have to be this way. What we need is a far more aggressive approach than we have taken thus far, and that requires strategies that fall under the rubric of what housing policy experts and organizers call social housing. In brief, social housing is housing that is deeply and permanently affordable because it is permanently decommodified, taken off the market. Social housing is also cooperatively owned and operated by either a nonprofit or a municipality. This approach to housing is one of the only ways that cities around the world have successfully guarded against the corporate forces that place profit before people, leading to the death and displacement that define our time. The second thing we have heard most from residents is that traditional public safety institutions are not currently creating and cannot create the safety that we all deserve. Thousands of residents have told us that they are desperate for robust, not piecemeal funding for non-police community safety programs, such as those outlined in the Varsity Spending Plan, which you'll hear more about, which have been proven to better prevent and address many of the problems our communities face. If we want fewer car break-ins, fewer instances of gun violence, fewer thefts and assaults, devote millions to social housing and non-police community safety programs. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Next is Christine Hall.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Christine Hall. I'm a resident of District 17 since 2002. I'm an artist and I've organized many community events, usually as a volunteer. And I've been coming here for the past few years on this, my favorite holiday, the pre-budget public comment period, to advocate for equitable arts funding in Nashville. We lag behind our peer cities, even though we've built our name on the arts. And we know that the arts have contributed such a large amount to our growth. But still, we're falling prey to that cliche of pricing out the very artists who make it so cool here. It's not that we don't prize our beloved institutions and the big name feature artists. It's that every one of us needs representation and access. For 8 years, I hosted a poetry open mic, and attendees would come to me again and again. And these included veterans and people living with chronic illnesses, people who in other ways felt isolated from their communities, but they would tell me how much it meant to them, how important it was that we could come together, they could share their voices and be heard, that they could create in community, how meaningful it is not just to be consuming art, but creating it. I ask that we dedicate 1% of the combined Metro budget to the arts and distribute that according to Arts Equity Nashville's plan for equitable democratic distribution, feeding the roots, our individual artists and small organizations to realize the greatest benefit for all in this big, beautiful city with a small town heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alexandria Danner.
I am proud to live in District 7, Emily Benedict's district, as a resident of 37216, and I work in Jennifer Gamble's district as the children's librarian as the Madison Library. I am always going to root for raises for Metro employees because we work hard and we barely get paid enough to live where we work. So yeah, please support a 5% COLA for the Metro employees who make our city work. But I also wanted to use my limited time to speak about budgeting for public safety. A few weeks ago, a woman came into our library and said the Illuminati were forcing her to have sex with dead celebrities so everyone could watch, and she was pretty sure the police were in on it, but could we call someone? These scenarios happen often in our libraries. We frequently have patrons experiencing mental health crises that come through our doors because they have nowhere else to go. And in the past, when I've called for help in these scenarios, we were hit with a barrage. Police, fire, EMS, sirens, not a single therapist. And I worried about what would happen when I called for help this time, but this time was different. We called non-emergency, and instead of sending a barrage, they sent one EMS worker and one therapist and one non-sirening car. And the therapist escorted the woman to a quiet room where they talked for over an hour. And then when she was ready to receive help, she left with them. Never in my 10 years of public service here have I seen a compassionate, trauma-informed response to a fairly common public safety issue, but that's because Metro invested in the Partners in Care program. And we need more money for compassionate care programs like that and less for surveillance programs like FUSIS. Adding FUSIS would be a doubling down on treating our community like criminals and absolving Metro of the governmental duty to create a social safety net. We are not safer when our limited funds are gobbled up by programs like FUSIS and diverted away from community care. We are not criminals. We do not need surveillance, but we do need creative solutions that involve compassionate care. Invest in protecting us, not criminalizing us. Thank you.
Okay, folks, we appreciate the enthusiasm, but so we can keep rolling, we are not going to be doing clapping and so forth, okay? All right. Mr. Mason Caples, sir.
Ma'am, I'm a registered nurse at Nashville General Hospital. I've been here before. Last year, you gave Nashville General Hospital the most amount of money that you've ever allocated to our hospital, and I just wanted to come through and tell you guys thank you. As a result, I have to come back and share with you what we have done. 2024, our hospital had grade A in Leapfrog. Our score was 110.77 out of 120. That's what we have done. We've also been ranked Tennessee's Healthcare and Equality and Inclusion. We've ranked #1 by Lowe's Hospital Institute. I want to tell y'all, thank y'all for funding us. We need that funding. We need you guys to keep investing in us because we invest in the indigent population. I want y'all to stand firm and make sure that you abide by the agreement that we've all agreed to. We take care of the indigent, you all fund us the money. That's what we need. We need that to continue. We still need a new hospital. I've heard the mayor. I hear him loud and clear. But as a registered nurse, I need to tell the mayor a message. You need to take care of the people who are in Nashville, Tennessee, because we take care of them every single day. We see these people. That emergency, that mental health emergency, we take care of those too. We take care of you. We don't just take indigent people. We take people with and without insurance. We take care of Nashville because that's our duty. We walk with our heads high and proud whether you fund us or whether you don't. We take care of Nashville. We are Nashville General Hospital. We are here to stay. I'm an SEIU member. I've been here before. I've seen the faces here change, but we're still here, and we're still fighting for our community, and I'm going to keep fighting for the community. It's not going to stop. So thank you very much for what you've done. Continue doing it. Give us the COLA raise. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Next is Michael Duran Magaha.
Okay, I see you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
What's up, y'all? I'm Mike. I'm here alongside a lot of members from the Southern Movement Committee, just a few of us, but we're here today, of course, to talk about the varsity spending plan. I just want to start by saying I was 16 years old the first time I witnessed gun violence. A lot of our young people are experiencing gun violence constantly. Antioch school shooting has been talked about already, but the impacts of that have ripple effects throughout our entire community, as we all know, okay? We're really grateful that y'all put the varsity spending plan in the budget last year. We really appreciate working with you all and working with the mayor's office to implement the first in the nation Office of Youth Safety that is separate from the criminal justice system. And we know we can't stop there. We know our full ask is $10 million to invest in youth safety. We continue that ask this year. What we want to do is we want to make sure we invest in the urgency and also the implementation of the programs and the solutions that the community has come up with, what the young people have come up with, and what our folks need. So I just want to encourage you all to do an amazing job like you did last year, but maybe even push harder than you did last year to invest into the young people's safety. Thank y'all so much. Support the varsity spending plan.
Thank you. Next is Nicholas Drake. Go ahead, sir.
Peace again. My name is Nicholas Drake. I'm a community organizer with Southern Movement Committee and a native Nashville resident. Aaron Evans is my council person. And I came today to also express my support for the varsity spending plan. I have the pleasure of working with youth in our youth internship from ages 14 to 26. And we work with them and try to constantly envision a world where they feel safe. Recently, I had the opportunity to speak with one of the youth who actually attend Antioch High School, and they were able to share with me some of their experiences since the recent tragedies. And in that, what I gathered from their experiences was that more SROs at the schools does not make them feel safer. Shorter school or class blocks does not make them feel safer. Metal detectors doesn't make them feel safer because the harm has already been done, right? And so I think with the varsity spending plan, it's the first step towards building a safer Nashville for our youth. And I think with a fully funded varsity spending plan, I think we will begin to be able to imagine what we imagine with our youth in our program, which is a safer Nashville for all. So I ask today that you fully fund the $10 million for the varsity spending plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Denzel Xavier Caldwell.
Hello, everybody. My name is Denzel Caldwell. I'm an organizer with the Black Nashville Assembly. Tanya Hancock is my city council member. I'm advocating for fully funding the varsity spending plan to effectively address gun violence at its root. Years ago, when I was in grade school, my family and I were robbed at gunpoint in the garage of our home. The assailant was a young man who took my dad's wallet after approaching our garage at night. Needless to say, that night forever changed our lives. But as I look back on that as an adult, after years of working with youth, I often wonder what experiences the young man endured that led him to make a decision to pick up that gun that night. How differently would his life be if he had readily available programming in his school or neighborhood that allowed him to find the money he needed, provide him the tools to navigate the conflicts in his life, and build his self-esteem? I know for a fact that a fully funded varsity spending plan, had that existed then, moments like this, that life-changing night that we experienced would have never happened. I know for a fact that there would be youth that would still be breathing. And I know for a fact that many folks in our communities would have much less wounds. And so last year, you, the city council, chose the youth by allocating $1 million towards the varsity spending plan. Today, I'm asking you and advocating for you to lean deeper into that commitment by committing the full $10 million to the varsity spending plan, which is a life-saving plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Brandon Gooch.
What's going on? All right, so my name is Brandon Gooch. I'm a member with the Black Nashville Assembly. My Quante Tunes is my councilwoman. I'm advocating for the varsity spending plan to impact to reduce gun violence and adding community center programs and restore justice. As we all know, what happened at the Antioch High School shooting, it affected all of us in some type of capacity. We all know that it should change. We should push for change, and change should start with the varsity spending plan. And we should y'all should put the full $10 million into the budget to help the kids have less worries, where a space they should feel the safest at, and where they can learn, speak, and become leaders. So if you're trying to protect the kids, varsity spending plan is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alessandro Demby.
What's going on? Good evening. My name is Dro Demby, and I'm a member of the Southern Movement Committee. And David Benton is my council member. I am advocating for the varsity spending plan due to its impact on reducing gun violence. Being an Antioch resident, I'm no stranger to gun violence, from the Waffle House shooting in 2018 to my younger cousin being gunned down at a club this past fall, and now the recent shooting at Antioch High School. An initiative for youth safety and change has been past due. The varsity spending plan is that initiative. The varsity spending plan is that change. So I compel you to fully fund the varsity spending plan, the full $10 million to prevent future shootings impacting youth, not only in my district, but in the district of those that your daughters, your sons, your grandkids, nieces and nephews live and commune in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paige Nicole Hodge.
Hi, my name is Paige Hodge. I'm 19 years old and I attend Nashville State. I am a member of the Southern Movement Committee and we're asking for your investment in the varsity spending plan. Being a student today is hard enough without the added fear that I might not make it back home again. It's sad that on top of balancing our daily responsibilities such as homework, work outside of school, and other personal matters, we now have to add on fighting for our safety in a place where that should be assured. Again, that's why I'm here advocating for the varsity spending plan due to its impact on reducing gun violence. I know people personally impacted by the recent Antioch school shooting. It sent shockwaves through our communities, especially for those of us who witnessed it. I work with some people who were in that cafeteria when the shooting occurred. It has greatly impacted their abilities to work. So now they're not only mentally, physically, and emotionally impacted, but financially as well. Those are the kinds of things that cause other problems to arise. We at bare minimum deserve a place where safety isn't a question. I believe funding the varsity spending plan will not only help create these places, but implement pro-community structures into these systems and provide tools for people that can help prevent future tragedies and assist in processing the ones that have already occurred. I want to know for sure that me, my siblings, my friends, and everybody else have an opportunity to grow, learn, and most importantly, live. That's why, especially in the light of the recent circumstances, I think that the varsity spending plan should be prioritized in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Micah Dixon.
Hello, my name is Micah Dixon, and Quante Tunes is my council member. I attend KIPP Nashville Collegiate High School, and which is in District 5, which Sean Parker represents. I myself am advocating for the varsity spending plan because it is needed in our community. I have friends at Antioch High School who are afraid to go to school, afraid to step in the cafeteria after the shooting. The tragedy affected more than just Antioch students. It impacted everyone, including those of us at schools nearby. Just 15 minutes away, we all have been shaken, both mentally and physically, knowing that we could have been in that situation too. We live with that trauma and terror every day. We need to build environments that protect us from feeling like violence is our only option and solution. To make that possible, the varsity spending plan needs to be on the budget. I thank you for the $1 million you have already contributed. I ask that you fully fund the varsity spending plan with the full $10 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Maya Willis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Willis, and my district council member is Jennifer Webb. I have dedicated my time to be here in advocacy for the varsity spending plan, which is completely devoted to ending the rising gun violence in Nashville, Tennessee, as well as aiding in the mental health of our youth. It is with a heavy heart that I recognize the recent school shooting at Antioch High School this past month. Let's not also forget the Covenant shooting that happened not too long ago. This is only one of the many counts of gun violence happening in Nashville. According to Nashville.gov, there have already been 280 violent crimes involving the threat of a firearm, 19 non-fatal shootings, and 7 homicides since January 1st, 2025. Again, I repeat, January 1st, 2025, till today. Something needs to change, and it is not policing. The rise in gun violence over the past few years and lack of change is sole proof of that. I thank you for the $1 million contribution that you have already made to the varsity spending plan, and I ask that you contribute to fully funding the $10 million that is truly needed. We have to prioritize our youth. It is our duty to do so. It is your duty to do so. This plan will not only reduce gun violence, but will support our youth that have been affected by it, as well as our youth who want to be better, but may not have the guidance to know where to start. As we all know, no child gets the opportunity to choose their life, where they live, how much their guardians can or cannot afford, or even their environment. The varsity spending plan is how you will and can change and shape the future of our youth. I ask that you fully fund the varsity spending plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Anton Jamar Christian.
Hello, my name is Anton Christian, member of Black Nashville Assembly, and Tanya Hancock is my council member, and I'm advocating for the varsity spending plan due to its impact on reducing gun violence and cultivating safe, productive spaces for our youth. As we know, the Antioch High School shooting has impacted a number of families and youth in Nashville. And my mother happens to be a tenured employee of Metro Nashville Public Schools for almost 30 years, currently serving as the dean at a local middle school. To hear the concern in her voice when it comes to the climate of our students and staff safety in an environment where both frequent more than their homes is quite alarming. Doing the eye test, it seems as if MNPS has a deficit when offering other resources and for our students and staff to not only feel safe, but also grow daily to become productive citizens for our city. Since violence has no age limit, the varsity spending plan can be the supplement to this particular issue. Although grateful for the $1 million granted, fully funding the varsity spending plan at $10 million will help with the mission of reducing gun violence by navigating conflict amongst our youth. As council members, most of you have families, children, and friends that are impacted by our community. So together, we can close the gap and build better futures for our children and families by fully funding the varsity spending plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Trey French.
Hello, everybody. My name is Trey French. I am in Tom Cash's district. I'm a member of Black Nashville Assembly, and I'm here to advocate for the varsity spending plan. I'm a therapist, and I work with teens and adults on a regular basis, and I know firsthand how the impact of violence has impacted their mental health and their overall well-being, and I think it's far past time for us to invest in proactive measures that address the issues that lead to violence before the violence occurs, and so that we can prevent tragedies like the Antioch shooting and all the things that people have talked about today. We appreciate the investment that you all made last year, and we're just asking you to deepen that commitment and fully fund the varsity spending plan. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next is Erica Perry.
Hello, I'm Erica Perry. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern Movement Committee. I'm here to ask and encourage you to support the varsity spending plan by fully funding it with the $10 million. And I want to thank you so much for the support from last year. Together, we've been able to work with Councilmember Porterfield and the Mayor's office to really build out the work of the Office of Youth Safety and begin to implement the Restorative Justice Pilot Program at Napier Community Center. And I just want to say I appreciate the co-governance and the way that we are really embodying democracy in Nashville by supporting the varsity spending plan, and appreciate the work of young people and ask you again to invest more deeply into the solutions and ideas of young people who are most impacted by gun violence, are most impacted when we fail to truly invest in social goods and in the work of the varsity spending plan. And so we know that in Nashville, like many other cities across the country, we find ourselves in a crisis. And I say a crisis because one young person stolen from us from gun violence is a crisis. Last year, we saw at least 12 be taken from us via gun violence. And so we know that we can interrupt that and prevent those things from happening in Nashville by investing in the varsity spending plan, solutions that young people have come up with. They know that restorative justice in their high schools, putting at least $2 million there will help them feel safe, will be safety. They know that expanding community center programming with at least $4 million is an avenue to safety. And then investing in the Office of Youth Safety by putting $4 million into their programming to really build that out and make sure we have the tools and resources we need to confront the crisis in Nashville. And so I appreciate your support and again encourage you to support the varsity spending plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Dayani Hathaway.
Yes, hello. My name is Deani Hathaway, also one of the youth interns, while Brennan Taylor is my city council member. I attend Hillsborough High School, which is in the Jeff Precinct District. Today, I'll be speaking on the varsity spending plan and its impact on reducing gun violence. The varsity spending plan is designed and put together for younger kids from ages 14 through 18 to join and come together to help advocate the rights of my generation to help stop the violence that's going around in today's society. The fact that the Antioch shooting even happened in the first place speaks for itself, that more kids every day are starting to take safety into their own hands, and it's mainly high school students, and it should not be that way. Me as a high school student should not have to walk in a building on edge and feel unsafe at all when all I've been told growing up is that school is supposed to protect me. So here I stand today. I humbly ask that you, the people who are supposed to be protecting us, put the varsity spending plan on the budget and give the $10 million to the right cause and for a good purpose. Thank you for your time and help support the varsity spending plan.
Thank you. Next is Jamel Campbell-Gooch.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamel Campbell-Gooch. I live in Brandon's Taylor's district. I have a lot of family in Bordeaux. My pops lives in Toombs district, and my mother is in District 1. I graduated from East High School, that is in Sean Parker's district, one of the greatest high schools in the country. My mother in 1982 lost a friend to gun violence. While working at Pearl as a support staff member, I lost 2 students to gun violence. And 3 years ago, I lost a sibling to gun violence. Gun violence has become a multi-generational thing. It is killing us daily, and it is the top cause of youth death in the country. And we can do something about it. So I'm here asking for you to fully fund the varsity spending plan. With this being Black History Month, there's some historical context here. Whenever our young people under the ages of 26 have come together to actually fix an issue that is generational, they have not only fixed it in Nashville, but they have fixed it across the country. And our young people now in our youth assembly are attempting to lead in their way and setting up something that the nation is accepting as normal, which is not. So I'm asking you, will you embrace this historical night that we're in, this historical moment? Will you take on the youth leadership, and when you step in the way of our young folks and leading the country and actually solving the problem of gun violence? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Parrish.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kate Parrish, and I live in District 24, represented by Council Lady Brenda Gadd. I'm here tonight to request the council's support to fully fund the library's operating budget. I got my first library card at the Old Bellevue branch before I could even fully write my own name. I was immediately a voracious reader, desperate to keep up with my older sister, and driven to earn as many personal pan pizzas as possible. Now, decades later, my favorite fictional characters from childhood still keep me company. Their personalities, my own private reserve of strength. Ramona Quimby, Harriet the Spy, Nancy Drew, Joe March. Each imaginative, curious, bold, dogged, independent, and unafraid. In very real and tangible ways, the Nashville Public Library System and everything and everyone contained within it has shaped me. It is an invaluable resource that, of course, you will soon have to place a monetary value on. These days, my reading is almost exclusively listening. Like so many others, it can be difficult to find time to sit down and read. But audiobooks give me a way to continue my lifelong love of reading while I fold laundry, make dinner, or run errands. This book format and its cousin, the ebook, aren't cheap. In fact, the average cost of an ebook license is $40 per copy. Audiobooks can be as much as $70 each. In comparison, a print book typically costs somewhere between $8 and $30. The Seattle Public Library System, NPL's closest peer in total population served, maintains a $10 million annual materials budget to serve 800,000 users. NPL, by comparison, operates with a $4.4 million annual collections budget, less than half of Seattle's budget. It's important to note, too, that you fund us. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Kalisa Ewing.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Ewing, and I live in Green Hills in District 25. I'm here to ask council to fully fund Nashville Public Library's budget request for fiscal year '26 and increase the 4% funds so Metro can fully fund the library collection. The library collection is one of our best community assets because it serves everyone in Nashville. No matter who you are, there's something special for you in the library collection. In fiscal year '24, patrons borrowed nearly 7 million books and materials. 6 months into fiscal year '25, they've borrowed more than 3.5 million books. We're on track to hit a 3% increase over last fiscal. When people need to borrow a library book, it should be available within weeks at the longest. No one should wait up to 8 months for a library book, which is currently the case for some patrons. We must make this community asset truly accessible to all. Simply maintaining the library collection takes $4.4 million, and that amount doesn't grow the collection, but we shouldn't be satisfied with the status quo. We need more ebooks, more talking books for our children, and more curriculum kits for our teachers and our homeschool parents so that they are well equipped. We don't want our children or our city left behind. We want a library collection that grows with Nashville and reflects the diversity and vibrance of our city. I truly appreciate council's leadership in meeting so many community needs. We can feel confident that an expanded investment in the library and our library collection will create substantial value. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight, and be well.
Thank you. Next is Grace Lee.
Hello, my name is Grace, and I'm here with NOAA tonight, supporting the request for Metro Council to allocate at least $50 million to the Barnes Housing Fund. I see housing as a key issue. I think a lot of people in this room probably do. I've lived in Nashville for 8 years, starting as a student. I've also lived in Nashville as a social worker, helping clients as they struggle to access affordable housing as well as emergency housing in a state that also criminalizes homelessness. I'm also lived here as a songwriter and an artist, and I've watched my creative partners and collaborators get pushed further and further away from the city. I've lived with counselors and teachers who struggle to pay exorbitant rent prices, and I've also watched them lament the 4,500 homeless students in Nashville. I've lived here long enough to see Nashville become even more accessible to the community members that define it. So I urge you all who really can move the needle on this issue to fund the Barnes Housing Fund, which is addressing that. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Kay Bowers.
Down. Hi, I'm Kay Bowers, and Jeff Pripteep is my council member. I'm part of NOAA's Affordable Housing Task Force. If you may remember, one of your first actions as new council members in 2023 was to pass a resolution that expressed your commitment to principles outlined in what was called a community covenant, with the aim of creating opportunities for all residents of Metropolitan Nashville to thrive. The resolution states that the council should consider equity rather than simple equality when we're making our public investments and allocating our resources. This covenant goes on to state that access to affordable housing is key to addressing the consequences of decades of disparate outcomes in health, income, and education. Access to affordable housing promotes community stability, which prevents displacement. It states that the council should prioritize investments in affordable housing, living wages, education, workforce development, and the social services that address our root causes of crime. Therefore, the council should continue to dedicate robust funding to the Barnes Fund for affordable housing and establish a comprehensive plan which prioritizes the creation of more affordable housing units, prevents further displacement, and includes eviction protection through such programs as Right to Counsel. For many years, Metro Public Schools Heroes program has reported every year over 4,000 unhoused children. Our lack of a strong housing system is a barrier, keeps our children and families from having stable housing Systemic problems
Thank you.
need investments in systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Next is Mike Hodge.
I'm Mike Hodge. I'm a member of Edge Hill United Methodist Church, which is a part of NOAA, Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. I'm on the Affordable Housing Task Force of NOAA, and John Rutherford is my council member. You know, people think that a prophet predicts the future, just like some sort of magic trick. But the Hebrew prophets called out injustice and disparity in wealth. They called people back to a vision of God's kingdom where everyone had enough to survive, and outlined what the future would be like if something wasn't done. Listen to Isaiah 5:8. Woe to you who buy up house after house until everyone is evicted and you live alone in the land. Does this sound like Nashville's gentrification, where people of normal income are being pushed out and the wealthy live here alone? Thank you, Metro Council, for taking some steps to try to slow this down. Thank you for working with NOAA in the past to get funding for the Barnes Affordable Housing Trust Fund and to create the Division of Housing in the Metro Planning Department. We know this is a tight budget year, but the Barnes Fund needs at least $30 million, maybe $50 million, as you've heard, because they can use it. They can make good use of it. Our task force is also concerned about the 4,500 homeless students in our schools who need more help. We also know that Metro has city-owned land that could be used for permanently affordable housing for teachers, support staff, and maybe even homeless students. Our city budget is indeed about dollars and cents. You have to wrestle with this all the time. But it's also about our values and what kind of community we want to be. Will we listen to Isaiah and focus on affordability to include everyone? Or do we continue to push people out of the city? Affordable housing is central to our city for employment, for education, and for a real community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jackson Farrell.
Hi, my name is Jackson Farrell. I live in 37203, District 19. I've lived in Nashville for more than 20 years, and I'm currently in my last semester at Vanderbilt Law School. I only say that because it's through the Housing Law Clinic there that I've seen the importance of the funding you've provided in the past and hope that you will into the future. I'm here to request that this body continue to fund the Legal Aid Society and Nashville Hispanic Bar Association's Eviction Right to Counsel program. You approved an allocation of $2.4 million ARP dollars for this program almost a year ago, after the initial 2-year pilot in 2022. This funding source is no longer available, and I hope that this budget season you'll prioritize finding a new funding home through the operating budget that at least maintains the infrastructure that has been built, if not expands it. Those at Legal Aid and NHBA can lay out all the numbers of need and impact, but an independent report last year found that the program generated a 2-to-1 return on investment for Nashvillians last year. Outside the numbers, I'd invite any of you to go down to General Sessions Court for an evictions docket to see just how many of your constituents are facing eviction any given week. To see the dynamic, which can only be described as an eviction mill in which the few attorneys representing a laundry list of landlords churn through the tenants who are often confused and overwhelmed, unaware of all their options. And to see just how hard the few attorneys funded through this pilot program are working to help as many of these folks as they can. This often just looks like helping a tenant figure out a way to move out with dignity and avoid an eviction filing that under state law can't be expunged. I know this council talks a lot about affordable housing on this floor and in your campaigns, and I applaud the steps that have been taken, and I'm excited to see what you're able to do this year and beyond. While there seems to be a lot of deliberating to do on how we build new affordable housing and what exactly that means, there is an easy step we can take to make housing more affordable in Nashville without waiting on a unified housing strategy. The most affordable housing is often the house you're already in, and I hope you all will provide the funds to help our neighbors stay in their homes or move on with dignity by funding the Eviction Right to Counsel program.
Thank you. Next is Brenda Waybrant.
Hello, my name is Brenda Waybrant. I live in District 7, and I'm here with the Shift Coalition to ask the council and the mayor's office to make major investments in the Shift policy platform in this year's budget. I'm proud to say that I worked on the transit referendum campaign this year that passed the polls with 66% approval. I was interested in public transit because I bartended downtown for many years, and I found so many people that couldn't work when they wanted because they had to work around the bus schedule, affecting the business, their coworkers, and that person's earning potential. I ask that you support the working class people of Nashville in the upcoming budget with zero fare programs, accessible and walkable transit hubs, and investment in green, union-made transit vehicles. And let's build this system with living wage jobs. I also want to express my support of an appropriate living wage raise for all Metro workers, including part-time employees, because labor is labor. According to MIT, the survival wage for Davidson County for a single adult with no children is $23.84 an hour, or about $50,000. For an adult and one dependent, the survival wage is $37.27 an hour, or about $77,500. When the working class rises, we all rise. Thank you.
Thank you. Before Ms. Schuler speaks, signs are allowed, but we do ask that you do not obstruct the view of the people behind you. Thus, you cannot stand or hold it in such a way that it's in front of somebody else's line of sight. So if you're sitting, you can put it in front of you in this way, okay? But please kindly do not block the view of those around you. Thank you. Go ahead, Jill Schuler.
Hi, my name is Jill Schuler. I'm a resident of Inglewood. I'm here to speak about funding Metro Animal Care and Control. Our city has grown exponentially, yet we haven't accounted for that when it comes to supporting our pet population as well. The Pet Committee has been working hard towards approving a new shelter build. However, that's a 5 to 10 year project, and MAC is over capacity, understaffed, and underfunded now, with no immediate solutions being presented. We are paying staff much less than neighboring counties for positions, and not only are these employees underpaid, but overworked because we can't get more positions approved. On top of combating this litany of issues, they have no direction or help from the budget because they are umbrellaed under the health department, which is something that might have made sense for federal rabies grants years ago, but it has been detrimentally leaving them neglected more recently. Specifically, we know spay and neuter programs work to reduce and control pet populations. Sumner County, other surrounding counties, and national data proves this. Yet we don't have any of these programs within MAC outside of third-party organizations donating their time and resources in what small amounts they can, with wait lists that are years long. I know most of you are in the neighborhood social media pages and you see the daily, weekly, monthly comments from constituents complaining that stray intake is turning away people and asking people to home these animals temporarily themselves. I urge you to take a look at your agendas and budgets and ask why these issues seem to be left unaddressed entirely. We have attempted to create a Nashville animal welfare advocate group on Facebook from those of us attending the Pet Committee meetings out of frustration that we have not been allowed to make comment or suggestions for almost 2 years. I urge you to lean on us and the rest of the community for solutions to some of these problems, and let's get MAC and the animals the help and the funding they desperately need. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Diamond Bell.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Diamond Bell. I am in District 3. I'm an organizer with Stand Up Nashville. Last year, we kicked off the SHIFT campaign with Equity Alliance and Turk, and we had a big shindig. Some council members was there, and we got a lot of community together to figure out what would community want to see and how can we continue to have the transit plan implement community. So y'all should have the SHIFT policy platform on your desk already, and I'm here tonight with multiple community members. We're here tonight with a simple demand: invest in us and not billionaires, not corporate developers, but us. For years, the city has prioritized tech breaks and sweetheart deals for wealthy elites while working class Nashvillians struggle to afford rent, childhood, and transportation. We're done waiting for scraps. The SHIFT platform is our vision for Nashville that actually serves the people who built it. That means affordable housing, good paying jobs, and a transit system that connects communities. It means real transformational investments. This budget must reflect our priorities. We expect you to fund SHIFT at the scale our communities deserve. No excuses and no delays. The people of Nashville are watching, and we won't accept anything else. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, folks in the middle of the gallery with the stack signs that keep falling over and over and over. Yes, you, sir, right there, peeking out from behind. Again, you're welcome to have the sign and hold it up, but you just can't. That's blocking and distracting the people behind you. Okay. Next is Shani Glapion. Go ahead, please.
I'm Shani Glapion, representing District 8.
and Shift Nashville as well. So tonight, we're not just asking for change, we're expecting it. Shift isn't just a wish list, it's a demand for a better Nashville. We expect you to fund jobs, transit, housing, climates, resilience, childcare, at the scale our community needs. Metro Council, the people are watching. The upcoming budget is a test. Will you stand with us or will you cater to the wealthy few? We will not accept crumbs. We will demand a budget that serves the people. In the dynamic words of Spike Lee, do the right thing.
Thank you. Next is Kelvin Williams.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, Shift gives our prayers to all those affected by the Antioch shooting. When it comes to transit, it is not just talking about those that ride bikes or any motor vehicles. We are also talking about our pedestrians. It is time to make the street safe for people walking on the street. I ask all the motorists in the building to please change your mentality. Slow down for those that are walking. When the lights go off on the Hawkeyes, please stop. Even though yellow means caution, stop because too many people are being hit. At the end of the day, the budget is about values. Metro Council, we are asking you to invest in the working people and affordable housing and public transit. We ask you, will you continue to serve corporate interests, or will you fight for the people that have put you in office? Shift Platform is a roadmap for a just and equitable Nashville. You have the power to fund it at the scale our communities deserve. Make it right, make the right choice, fund the people.
Thank you. Next is Cade Wooten.
Hey, good evening, y'all. So I'm here with the Shift Coalition representing for District 6, and tonight I want to talk to you about some of the specific things in the Shift platform. So first off is public land. Nashville's land is one of the greatest resources, yet time and time again, we see it handed over to private developers who care more about profits than people. Working class families are getting pushed out of their own neighborhoods, while luxury condos that none of us can afford go up overnight. The Shift platform demands a different approach to how we use land. Public land must be used for public good. That means permanent, affordable housing on this land, parks, transit hubs, and community spaces, not another high-rise for out-of-town investors. We expect this council to fund a vision that keeps our neighborhoods intact and ensures public land benefits the people who actually live here. Next, I want us to take a second to talk about jobs. With this transit plan, we're going to get a lot of new jobs, and we know Nashville is booming, but what kind of jobs are we creating? Too many working people in this city are stuck in low-wage, unstable work that doesn't pay enough to live on. Shift demands real investment in high-quality, family-sustaining jobs with strong labor protections, fair wages, and clear pathways to economic security. We expect this council to ensure that the city contracts support union apprenticeships, worker safety, and real opportunities for Black and brown workers. No more tax giveaways to corporations that exploit our communities. Fund the Shift platform and invest in jobs that uplift our people, not the pockets of the wealthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mary Bernice Polk.
Good evening, Council. First of all, I must say that I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because my feet are the pounding grounds of Antioch High School. I drive a school bus there, and I was on the front line there that day. So thank you all for tonight. But tonight I'm here with Shift with a fund affordable housing. As a young man said, he'd been here some few years. Well, I'm going to tell you, 7 months from now, I'll be here 71 years of all of my life here in Nashville. And I'm here to talk about the fact that Nashville housing crisis is spiraling completely out of control. Berkeley, how you doing? Good to see you, not in one Nashville. My sister here, Delisha Porterfield. Sufat, welcome tonight, baby. We're out here talking about rents skyrocketing, evictions on the rise. Working class families like myself are being pushed out to the margins. Shift demands a massive investment in permanently affordable housing. When I say permanently affordable housing, we have moved to something called restricted income housing, which is not affordable for anyone, not the people that they put in there or the people that they have living there. When they try to work and get a little bit ahead, they raise the rent just to 10 steps ahead of where they're at. So they're not affordable. They're putting them all back out on the street. So we're not talking about just a small-scale solution, but we're talking about real long-term housing stability. Metro Council, we expect you to fund affordable housing at the scale that the crisis is demanding. If you don't, you are choosing a displacement over stability, and the people of Nashville deserve much better. Antioch will not be stamped with we had a killing in our school. Our crisis will be housing. We are not having affordable housing in Antioch. And I, myself, would just appreciate the fact that someone would recognize that. And council, we expect you to do your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Taylor Braun.
My name's Taylor, but I go by Dylan, and I live in District 5, Sean Parker, down in Oakwood Park, and I actually live in the restricted housing, what she just mentioned. My words are all messed up now, but it's not affordable and it's not accessible at all. It's definitely not accessible. The stuff you have to do to actually get in is ridiculous. But I'm with Shift, and this is my little thing. Nashvillians pay taxes, we work hard, and yet year after year we see public money funneled into corporate subsidies and luxury developments instead of the things we actually need. That ends now. Shift calls for a community-driven budgeting process where the people, not just wealthy developers, decide where our tax dollars go. We expect a budget that reflects the needs of working people. If this city belongs to all of us, then all of our voices need to be heard, not just the wealthy people who just got here and have done nothing to contribute to what this place is and why people want to move here. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Next is Kaylin Russell.
Good evening. My name is Kaylin Russell. I live in District 16, Jenny Walsh's council district. I am the advocacy manager at the Equity Alliance, and we're proud parts of the Shift Nashville Coalition. Tonight, I'm going to speak to you about the transit portion of the policy platform. Transit isn't just about moving people, it's 60,000 jobs. That should scream economic justice, public health, and opportunity. Shift prioritizes zero-fare programs, accessible and walkable transit hubs, and investments in green, union-made transit vehicles. We hope that the council will continue to start building a transit system that serves the people and not just developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gabriela Montano.
Good evening. My name is Gabby Montano. I'm the climate justice organizer at Turk, and I'm here with the Shift Coalition to ask the council and the mayor's office to make major investments in the Shift policy platform in this year's budget. The hands of my friends, neighbors, and loved ones have helped build much of the new infrastructure you all see in Nashville today. These same community members are also the ones most exposed to unsafe working conditions and have less access to affordable housing and public transportation. We expect this council to protect our working class families so that they, in turn, can continue to build this city. We expect you to prioritize their needs as this new transit project unfolds. We expect you to ensure that they get to work safely and efficiently, that they work under safe and fair conditions, and that they have a home to get back to after a long day's haul. Funding the Shift platform will help us accomplish this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sila Toralba.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sayla Toralba. I live in Councilman Welsh's district, and I am the advocacy coordinator at Turk, and I am here today with the Shift Nashville Coalition and many fellow Nashvillians to ask council and the mayor's office to make major investments in the Shift policy platform in this year's budget. For the past 5 years, I have lived in between Murfreesboro Pike and Nolensville Pike, areas that have become increasingly more trafficked by tourists and private development with proximity to the soccer stadium, fairgrounds, and downtown. But proximity to tourist attractions is not what makes my neighborhood so special. What makes my neighborhood special are the working class Black, Brown immigrant communities that have and continue to build it. Investment in the Shift policy platform is a chance for you to take a stand for your constituents and be held accountable to a community-driven budgeting process. The vision for the city and its people cannot be defined by corporate developers or people who leverage their money or power for the benefit of the few. Rather, the future of this city must be defined by those who have built it, specifically those in our communities who are most impacted by climate catastrophes, evictions and property buyouts, and the lack of good-paying jobs. We are tired of being pushed out of the city. We desperately need a Nashville where we see our city's budget at work for the things that directly benefit us: good jobs, language access in our public transportation and emergency response systems, affordable housing, and pathways for the people who built this city to remain in it. Funding the SHIFT platform is funding the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Michelle Flynn.
Hi, Michelle Flynn, and I'm ceding my time to Ingrid.
Okay.
Good evening.
Ms.
My name
McIntyre.
is Reverend Ingrid McIntyre. I live in District 16, represented by Jenny Welch for 25 years. That feels like a long time. And I'm here today as a pastor who's witnessed both profound tragedy and extraordinary hope in our young people. In the past year, I've stood at multiple gravesides offering prayers over children taken by gun violence. Each time, I've searched for words of comfort where no comfort seems possible, walking alongside families to find light in their darkest hour. But even in these moments of deepest grief, I've witnessed something remarkable: our young people rising up as prophetic leaders. I've watched in awe as students organize peace walks and hold vigils. I've seen them testify before committees, speaking truth to power. They're not just victims or statistics, they're visionaries. Our youth are leading marches, creating peer support groups, and demanding change. They're showing us the way forward, even as they shoulder burdens no young people should have to bear. The varsity spending plan represents more than a budget item. It's a response to our young people's desire for justice and community. When we invest in expanded after-school programs, mental health resources, and youth mentorship initiatives, we're not just funding programs, we're empowering the very leaders who are already working to transform our community. These spaces can become holy ground where young people's lives are transformed, where young people find purpose, where they discover community instead of conflict. The plan's evidence-based violence interruption program offers 30% reduction in youth violence. That's not just a statistic. That's precious lives that are saved and young leaders who are empowered. I stand before you today not only as a community faith leader asking for your vote, but as a witness to both tragedy and triumph. Let's make a commitment to them.
Thank you. Next is Makia Miller.
Hey y'all, my name is Makia Miller. I am a Nashville native, specifically North Nashville. However, I just moved to the Hermitage area. And tonight I am here to speak with you about public land and public good. Nashville's land is one of its greatest resources, yet time and time again, we see it handed over to private developers who care more about profits than people. Working class families are getting pushed out of their own neighborhoods while luxury condos and high rises that none of us can afford, even with my full-time job, continue to go up overnight. The SHIFT platform demands a different approach. Public land must be used for the public good. That means permanently affordable and accessible housing, parks, transit hubs, and community spaces. Not another high-rise for out-of-town investors. We expect this council to fund a vision that keeps our neighborhoods intact and ensures public land benefits the people who actually live here and have been living here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joseph Staylor.
My name is Joe Staller, and I'm chairman of the baseball in Nashville RBI, and on the board of O&E, Organized Neighbors of Edge Hill, and several other various committees in that area. So what we've done is that over the last 20 years with RBI is have kids play baseball. It's gone from 1,700 kids down to 200. Football, PAL, Police Athletic League, has gone from 2,500 down to almost nothing. So, and what's the impact of this? Well, kids that do go to youth sports, they have 3 times more likely to graduate from high school, 92% less likely to get involved with drugs, 15% more likely to go to college, 40% more likely to have better test scores, and 75% less go to jail. Well, why in the heck are we not having everybody go to youth sports leagues? Well, because the kids come home from school, they're bussed off somewhere, and they can't get home. So they got to go home, and they go back to environment, which is not a very good environment. And therefore, they fall by the wayside. So anyway, this is what we've been doing. Terry Bowe came, I don't see her here, to our meeting in Edge Hill last Monday. She said, hey, come here and talk about the budget, because we have a falling down community center in Edge Hill. It's old, it needs to be redone. There's 4,500 new condos or whatever being built on the corner. They knocked down the Section 8 housing, and that's going on right now. So I just saw you 14 million people saying, hey, we need $14 million for whatever they're doing. That's great. They should do that. The last lady said, hey, we need money for public land for the citizens, not for outside investors. Fantastic. So I believe we need to do that, but we need to also spend the money on where it's most effective. If you're going to spend $14 million, let's evaluate these programs we got out here and see which ones are the most effective. So I'd like to get back from 300 kids to 4,200. I'd like 65 kids a year to go to college instead of jail. That's the cost of letting these things go, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Belinda Mulliken.
Good evening. My name is Kay Mulliken. I live in Councilman Horton's district, District 20, victim of a vehicle break-in. Anyways, I'm a 911 dispatcher and a member of SCI Local 205. I'm here tonight asking you to remember the Metro employees as you consider this budget this year. HR is going to present a new pay plan called the Mercer Study, and there are many parts to the pay plan that we believe will be a benefit to current and future Metro employees. However, there's 2 parts that we're really concerned about that we want to bring to your attention. The pay plan does not outline a yearly cost of living adjustment. Instead, it uses new language and leans on a market rate. It also does away with using the consumer price index as a way to look at salaries. We know that the ability for Metro employees to live in our city is getting harder and harder. And we also know that our city is better when its citizens are served by their neighbors. Please be sure that any pay plan keeps a yearly cost of living adjustment and uses CPI to fairly look at our pay. The investments y'all are asked to provide in youth safety, crisis intervention, additional parks, and housing, those services are all made possible by Metro employees. We are essential to the running of Nashville. Please remember that these services are not possible without your Metro employees. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Warbington.
Thank you. I actually go by my middle name, Ashley Warbington.
Okay, thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here tonight as a parent, a community member, and an advocate for Nashville's future, our children. Sean Parker is my council member. In light of Tennessee's latest voucher scam bill, alongside harmful state and federal immigration policies, we have a choice to make. Do we invest in our children and our communities, or do we continue to let them be collateral damage in political games? Right now, our public schools that serve the majority of our children, are being drained of resources. Instead of fully funding them, we are funneling public money into private institutions that can pick and choose who they accept. For many families, especially those targeted by immigration policies, these attacks on public education aren't just political, they're personal. Nashville prides itself on being welcoming, diverse, and full of opportunity. But what does that mean if we fail to invest in the very systems that make opportunity possible? Our tax dollars should be used to fully fund our public schools, support educators, and ensure every child, regardless of background, has access to high-quality education. And with even more harmful legislation looming in the upcoming regular session, now is the time to act. We can't afford to keep shortchanging our future. Our kids deserve classrooms, not courtrooms. They deserve teachers, not SROs. And they deserve a city that stands up for them, even when the state won't. I urge you to prioritize funding for public education, support policies that protect all families, and invest in the communities that make Nashville strong. Because when we invest in our children, we invest in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Avi Dorian Long.
Ooh, that was my full name, but it's pronounced A.V. I'm A.V. Long.
Welcome.
No problem. A.V. Long from the Edge Hill neighborhood, which is in District 17. Many of us in the Edge Hill community support CM Terry Vo in working toward full renovation and expansion of the Easley Community Center, located in E.S. Rose Park. Because of its very strategic location in a very high-density community that's still growing, the Easley Center should be reclassified as a regional center. With a projection of 4,500 additional residents to this area, there's no way that this park can adequately serve all patrons in its current state. Because this park is also shared with Belmont University, plus 3 magnet schools, plus many pay-to-play organizations, the outdoor spaces need to be redesigned and the indoor spaces need to be expanded and fully renovated. We ask that you carefully examine the significance of this historical park to the surrounding community and to also provide the necessary funding to make it more accessible and much more inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Megan Schoeneman.
Hi, my name is Megan Shaneman. I'm a resident of District 2, and I'm here with Shift Nashville to talk about the climate part of their platform. The climate crisis is here. Every year, Nashville faces more extreme heat, stronger storms, and devastating floods. But instead of investing in climate resilience, the city has poured money into corporate interests that make things worse. The Shift platform calls for real solutions, green infrastructure, emergency response center, and protections for communities that are most at risk. We expect funding for climate justice in this budget because if you don't act now, our communities will suffer. Climate justice cannot wait.
Thank you. Next is Caleb French.
Hi, good evening. I'm Caleb French. I'm in District 6. That's where I live. I'm here with Shift also to talk about affordable child care. Parents in Nashville face an impossible choice right now. They can either go to work and struggle to afford child care, or they can stay home and struggle to afford everything else. That's not a choice at all, it's a crisis. And so Shift is demanding that Metro fund affordable, high-quality child care centers, especially near transit hubs and workplaces, so that working families aren't left behind. Investing in child care means investing in our workforce, our economy, and the future of our city. This is not optional, it's necessary. Metro Council, we expect you to make it happen. The well-being of thousands of families depends on it. So thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Next is Angus Purdy.
I'm Angus, District 18. In 2021, the Community Education Fund was written out of the budget. Nashville Community Education collectively impacted thousands of citizens a year through more than 500 classes. The department had been steadily growing, nearly tripling their revenue over its last few years, all while operating on an already limited budget. I'm willing to bet we spend more than that annually on police misconduct settlements. Seems like a small cost for a huge impact. I ask that you reinstate and expand the Community Education Fund. Tonight, you've heard requests for money for skate parks, affordable housing, the varsity spending plan, safer streets, mental health crisis resources, spay-neuter programming, libraries, general hospital, the arts, public education, but not one request for an increased MNPD budget. It strikes me that over the years, I've heard my brilliant neighbors making the exact same requests year after year. This seems like a pretty damning indictment that this body is failing the people.
Thank you. Next is LaShondra Craig.
Good evening, everyone. My name is LaShonda, where Zolfat Sorah is my council member. My name is LaShonda. I'm here today because I'm part of Shift Coalition. I'm here today because it's time to shift Nashville into the right direction. As Metro prepares its budget, we must demand investments that truly serve our community. That means funding that funding what matters most. We truly believe in making a difference and that these aspects would contribute to improving public goods. Our communities need grocery stores, healthcare facilities, and affordable medication to ensure everyone has access to necessary resources for a healthy life. Safer neighborhoods, better infrastructure, lighting, and community program to keep us safe. Affordable housing, keeping families in their homes, not priced out of their neighborhoods. Stronger schools, ensuring every child gets a quality education with resources they need. Land for child care centers. Working parents need affordable, accessible daycare close to their homes. Jobs for local workers, transit, and construction jobs should go to the people who live here with fair wages and protections. Thank you all for listening. Have a great evening.
Thank you. That concludes our pre-budget public comment. On behalf of the council, thank you to everyone who made an effort to come out and share with us and speak about your priorities for your budget. Thank you. All right. We are now moving into Section J, resolutions on public hearing. The information that I provided and was shared regarding Spanish interpretation services does remain in effect for all the public hearings, both the resolutions and the ordinances that are coming up next. Ms. Valdez, if you might, if you would stand and raise your hand again, so still here, still available, okay? So first, resolutions on public hearing. Agenda item 1, Resolution 2025-1005, sponsor CAP. This is a resolution exempting Pelican Fly, located at 1101A McKinney Avenue, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit pursuant to Section 7.08090.e of the Metropolitan Code. Mr. Cap, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm just so grateful for that amazing budget public hearing, but I will ask for committee reports on Resolution 1.
Thank you, sir. Chair of Government Operations and Regulations, Hill, you are recognized, Chair Hill.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We heard item 1, 2025-105, voted approved, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. It's back to you, Mr. Cap.
Move to open the public hearing.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this resolution please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this resolution regarding Pelican Fly, beer distance permit? Anyone here in opposition, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one here in opposition or support, I declare the public hearing closed, and it is back to you for a motion, Mr. Cap.
Move approval.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted this resolution. Next, agenda item 2, resolution 2025-1006, sponsors Benedict and Cap. This is a resolution exempting Curry Boys BBQ, located at 1304 McGavick Pike, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit. Mr. Cap, you are recognized again, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report, please.
Chair Hill, for the report of Government Operations and Regulations, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We voted to approve, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you much. Mr. Cap, it's back to you.
Move to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this resolution please raise your hand? Would all members of the public here in opposition to this resolution please raise your hand? All right. Seeing no one here on either side seeking to be recognized, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion.
With that, I move approval.
Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted this resolution. Okay, that concludes our resolutions on public hearing. Now we will be moving into bills and ordinances, one and the same on public hearing. Okay. First is Agenda Item 3, Ordinance BL 2024-623, sponsors Ewing and Hill. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, by changing from R40 to RS20 zoning for property located at 2221 Old Hickory Boulevard, approximately 396 feet east of Middleton Park Lane. This is 7.93 acres. Councilmember Ewing, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to defer this bill until the April 1st meeting, please.
Okay. Ms. Ewing has made a motion to defer the public hearing and second reading of this bill to the first meeting in April. Is there a second for that motion? Okay. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of a deferral to the first meeting in April, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this matter is deferred. All right, next is agenda items 4 and 5. They are companions to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-681 and 682, both sponsored by Councilmember Harrell. These are ordinances to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the ordinance of the Metro Government of Nashville, by changing from AR2A to SP zoning for properties located at 3201 Hamilton Church Road and 3124 Murfreesboro Pike. This is approximately 1,310 feet northwest of Mount View Road and is not 19.11 acres within the Murfreesboro Pike Urban Design Overlay to permit 171 multifamily residential units. Again, the companion bill, 682, requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings at that same address and with that same bill. Okay, Councilman Harrell, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to open the public hearing.
Open the public hearing, okay. I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? So, okay, seeing no one here in opposition, do those folks here in support seek to be recognized or speak? Okay, they are nodding their head no, Councilman. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it is back to you for a motion on your bill.
I'd like to move forward with approval.
Okay, bills plural. So Councilman Harrell has moved approval of 681 and 682 in a consolidated motion. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on these two bills? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this has passed. These bills have passed the second of 3 total readings. Next is Agenda Item 6, Ordinance BL 2024-683, sponsors Allen, Gamble, Vo, and Ewing. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, to amend Chapters 17.24 pertaining to standards for form and quality of plants. Let's see. Ms. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I would like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Okay. Seeing no one here in opposition, does the person here in support seek to be recognized or speak? She is shaking her head no, Ms. Allen, and so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion on your bill.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move approval.
Is there a second? All right, this is properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on Councilmember Allen's bill? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second of 3 readings. Next is Agenda Item 7, Ordinance BL 2024-684, sponsored Taylor. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 2801 Delaware Avenue at the southwest corner of Delaware Avenue and 28th Avenue North. This is 0.25 acres. Is Mr. Taylor in the room? Can a member of staff or a colleague get Mr. Taylor, please? Mr. Taylor, I'm going to ask for a nod from you. Do you want to open the public hearing, sir? Okay, all right. All right, I declare the public hearing open for ordinance 684. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Okay. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Seeing none on either side, Councilman Taylor, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's to you for a motion, sir.
Thank you. Move for approval.
All righty. Is there a second? Okay, it's properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this is passed its second of 3 readings. All right, next are agenda items 8 and 9. They are companions to each other. Ordinance BL 2024-685 and BL 2024-686, both sponsored by Councilman Harrell. 685 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, by changing from AR2A to SP zoning for property located at 4120 Murfreesboro Pike at the current terminus of Smoky Mountain Place. This is 11.22 acres and within the Murfreesboro Pike Urban Design Overlay District to permit 90 multifamily residential units. And again, it's Companion Bill 686, which requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of the buildings at that same 4120 address. Mr. Harrell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I would like to open public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of these bills please raise your hand? Thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to these bills please raise your hand? All right, seeing no one here in opposition, do the persons here in support seek to be recognized or speak? They are shaking their heads no, Councilman Harrell. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion.
I'd like to move forward approval.
Okay. Councilman Harrell has moved approval of 685 and 686. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on either of these bills? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? All right, both these bills, 685 and 686, have passed their second of 3 total readings. Next is agenda item 10. This is ordinance BL 2024-687, sponsors Allen, Gamble, Vo, and Ewing. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, to amend Chapter 17.04 and 17.28.065 pertaining to trees, all of which is described herein. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Would all members of the public here in support of this bill please raise your hand? Thank you. Would all members of the public here in opposition to this bill please raise your hand? Seeing no one here in opposition, does the person here in support seek to be recognized or speak? She is shaking her head no, Ms. Allen. And so with that, I will declare the public hearing closed, and it's back to you for a motion.
Thank you. I would like to move for approval with a very brief explanation.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. This is the second of two bills that just increase protection for trees and also some increase the standards as well. And I want to thank the Planning Commission for all the hard work they did on this. Hopefully, there will be further refinements to help protect our tree canopy because it is important. And with that, I would renew my motion for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this bill? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this has passed its second of 3 readings, and that concludes our public hearing. All right, so we are going to keep on rolling right into Section K. This is our consolidated consent agenda. All resolutions and second and 3 reading ordinances on this agenda are included on the consent agenda if recommended for approval unanimously by all the committees to which the item was referred. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. The item number, along with the resolution and ordinance number of the items on the consent agenda, will be read by me. Members of the council may then subsequently remove any item from the consent agenda by request before the consent agenda vote is taken. All right. First item proposed for the consent agenda is Agenda Item 12, Resolution 2025-1007. Next is Agenda Item 13, Resolution 2025-1008. Agenda Item 15, Resolution 2025-1010. Agenda Item 16, Resolution 2025-1011. Agenda Item 17, Resolution 2025-1012. Agenda Item 18, Resolution 2025-1013. Agenda Item 19, Resolution 2025-1014. Agenda Item 21, Resolution 2025-1016. Agenda Item 22, Resolution 2025-1017. Agenda Item 23, Resolution 2025-1018. Agenda Item 24, Resolution 2025-1019. Agenda Item 25, Resolution 2025-1020. Agenda Item 26, Resolution 2025-1021. Agenda Item 27, Resolution 2025-1022. Agenda Item 28, Resolution 2025-1023. Agenda Item 29, Resolution 2025-1024. Agenda Item 30, Resolution 2025-1025. Agenda Item 31, Resolution 2025-1026. Agenda Item 32, Resolution 2025-1027. Agenda Item 33, Resolution 2025-1028. Agenda Item 34, Resolution 2025-1029. Agenda Item 35, Resolution 2025-1030. Agenda item 36, Resolution 2025-1031. Agenda item 37, Resolution 2025-1032. Agenda item 39, Resolution 2025-1034. Agenda item 40, Resolution 2025-1035. Agenda item 41, Resolution 2025-1036. Okay, moving now to items on second reading, proposed for the consent agenda. First among them, agenda item 83, ordinance BL 2025-691. Agenda item 84, ordinance BL 2025-692. Agenda item 85, ordinance BL 2025-693. Agenda item 87, ordinance BL 2025-695. Agenda item 88, ordinance BL 2025-696. Agenda item 89, BL 2025-695. Agenda item 90, ordinance 697. Sorry, don't know where that came from. 697, proposed for the consent agenda. Thank you. Agenda item 90, ordinance BL 2025-698. Agenda item 91, ordinance BL 2025-699. Agenda item 92, ordinance BL 2025-700. Agenda item 93, ordinance BL 2025-701. Agenda item 94, ordinance BL 2025-702. Okay, now we are moving to bills on third reading proposed for the consent agenda. First is agenda item 95, ordinance BL 2024-594. Agenda item 96, ordinance BL 2024-619. Agenda item 101, ordinance BL 2024-644. Agenda item 102, ordinance BL 2024-645. Agenda item 103, ordinance BL 2024-646. Agenda item 104, ordinance BL 2024-647. Agenda item 105, ordinance BL 2024-641. 648, y'all, I don't know what's happening there. 648, okay? Agenda item 106, ordinance BL 2024-649. Agenda item 107, ordinance BL 2024-650. Agenda item 108, ordinance BL 2024-651. Agenda item 109, ordinance BL 2024-652. Agenda item 110, ordinance BL 2024-653. Agenda item 111, ordinance BL 2024-654. Agenda item 112, ordinance BL 2024-655. Agenda item 113, ordinance BL 2024-656. Agenda item 114, ordinance BL 2024-657. Agenda item 115, ordinance BL 2024-658. Agenda item 116, ordinance BL 2024-659. Agenda item 117, ordinance BL 2024-660. Agenda item 118, ordinance BL 2024-661. Agenda item 119, ordinance BL 2024-662. Agenda item 120, ordinance BL 2024-663. Agenda item 121, ordinance BL 2024-664. Agenda item 122, ordinance BL 2024-665. Agenda item 123, ordinance BL 2024-666. Agenda item 124, ordinance BL 2024-667. Agenda item 125, ordinance BL 2024-668. Agenda item 126, ordinance BL 2024-669. Agenda item 127, ordinance BL 2024-670. Agenda item 128, ordinance BL 2024-671. Agenda item 129, ordinance BL 2024-672. Agenda item 130, ordinance BL 2024-673. Agenda item 131, ordinance BL 2024-674. Agenda item 132, ordinance BL 2024-675. Agenda item 133, ordinance BL 2024-676. Agenda item 134, ordinance BL 2024-677. Agenda item 135, ordinance BL 2024-678. Agenda items 136, ordinance BL 2024-679. And lastly, agenda item 137, ordinance BL 2024-680. All right, I'm going to go back to resolutions. Okay. Okay, we're just going to make sure that I did not. Are they asking about a resolution? Yeah, that's helpful. Item 21. Just turning through here looking for 1015s. That's not helpful. Okay. 20 is not on consent. Okay? 1015, not on consent. All right, so that concludes the reading of the consent agenda. If any items need to be removed from the consent agenda, if members will please join the queue, and I see that they already have. First among those is Council Member at Large, Zulfat Swara. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I would like item number 39, RS 2025-1034 removed, please.
Okay, Councilwoman Suara has requested the removal of agenda item 39. Resolution 1034 will be removed from consent. Next, Councilwoman Evans, Chair Evans, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would just like to be recorded as a no on RS 2025-1007. It has to come off consent to do that. That's cool.
It does, yes.
Thank you.
And again, the agenda item, Ms. Evans?
I don't know the agenda item. It is RS 2025-1007.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So agenda item 12, resolution 1007. Ms. Evans has requested that that be removed from consent. Okay. Councilmember Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to remove item 40, RS 2025-1035.
Okay. Ms. Toombs has requested the removal of agenda item 40.
And I just wanted to double check that 102 is on consent. It's a companion bill.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, so first, let's dispose of 40. Agenda item 40, 1035 will be removed, that resolution from consent. And your point of clarification was?
102.
Agenda item 102? Agenda item 102 is indeed on consent, okay? Next, Councilmember Stiles, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. If we could please pull agenda item 37 off consent.
Okay, agenda item 37.
Thank you.
Resolution 1032 will be removed from consent. Okay, do any other items need to be removed from the consolidated consent agenda? Okay, whether resolution, second or third reading items. Okay, seeing none, we will now move on to our committee reports. Okay, Chair Porterfield, for the report of the Budget and Finance Committee, please, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered the following items. RS 2025-1008 and 1010 voted 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2025-1011, 12 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. 1012 and 1013, 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. 1014, 1016, 1017, 1018, 1019, 1022, 1023, 1030, and 1031. All 12 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. For bills on second reading, BL 2025, 691, 692, 693, 695, 696, 697, and 698. All passed 12 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting.
Thank you, Chair. Next, for the report of Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment, I think, Ms. Welsh, you were Chair Pro Tem this evening. You are recognized for your committee report, please.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Apple Committee considered RS 2025, 1014, 1016, 1017, and 1018 and approved them all, 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. We also considered for second reading bills, BL 2024, 695, 696, 697, and 698, all approved, 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you, Councilmember Gadd. Appreciate you taking over in committee this evening. Okay, next is the report of the Planning and Zoning Committee. Chair Gamble, you're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning considered resolutions 1020 RS 2025-1020, 1021, 1022, 1024, 1025, 1026, 1027, 1028, 1029. And for consideration, voted in favor, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Bills on second reading consent include Bill 2025-693, 695, 696, 697, 698, 699, 700, 701, 702. Voted in favor, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Bills on third reading consent include BL 2024-594, 619. Can't breathe. 643, 644, 645, 646, 647.
Ms. Gamble, I don't believe 643 is on consent.
Okay,
But
thank you.
the next bill, sorry, 644, though. You were on a roll there, 644, but I don't believe 643.
Okay.
Okay.
644, 645, 646, 647, 648, 649, 650, 651, 652, 653, 654, 655, 656, 657, 658, 659, 660, 661, 662, 663, 664, 665, 666, 667, 668, 669. If I can turn the page. 670, 671, 672, 673, 674, 675, and 676. Voted in favor, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you so much. That was stellar, Chair. That was a really long list of numbers. So thank you for getting all the way through that. Let's see. Next, then, for the report of the Public Health and Safety Committee, Chair Evans, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Health and Safety considered RS 2025-1008 and RS 2025-1009. RS 2025-1011, 1012, and recommended approval, 10 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting on all of those items.
And just to clarify, 1009 is not on consent.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you for making me aware.
Okay, so this is a report on 1008, 1011, 12, 13 for resolutions, correct?
No, 13, we recommended approval, but it was 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And then bills on second reading.
Go ahead.
We recommended approval on BL 2025-691, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And then BL 2025-692, also 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you.
Next, for the report of the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee, Chair Prep T, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections voted on RS 2025-1032, as well as 1036, and voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, to clarify, I believe 1032, 34, and 35, all three were removed from consent. And so your only remaining item on consent was 1036 at this time for committee report.
6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Great, thank you. Okay, those are removed. Okay. All right, last committee report, Chair Parker, for the report of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Transportation and Infrastructure considered resolutions RS 2025-1019 through 1029. Recommended approval of all of those, 10 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. We also considered bills on second reading, BL 2025-695 through 702. Also recommended approval of all of those items, 10 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting.
Okay, let me just double check. All right, if you would, please.
With all committee reports in, I will move the consolidated consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion, questions, clarification on the consolidated consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted or passed all the items on the consolidated consent agenda. And now we will go back to items that are resolutions that are not on consent. Okay, first among those is Agenda Item 11, Resolution 2025-992, sponsors Ewing, Porterfield, Parker, and Vo. This is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to a location agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Department of Water and Sewerage Services and T-Mobile South LLC. I show that that is a Rule 8.1, mandatory deferral by rule. Do I need the committee report to, okay. Ms. Porterfield, I got to have you say it into the record, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered RS 2025-992 and voted 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a one-meeting deferral.
Okay, and by Rule 8.1, that is a mandatory deferral, okay, by rule. No vote necessary. Next is Agenda Item 12, Resolution 2025-1007, sponsors Porterfield, Gad, Welsh, and Swara. This is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the criteria for operating support and Thrive grants for the Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission, approved by Resolution 2025-961, not very long ago. First, for the report of Budget and Finance Committee, go ahead, Chair Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports. Budget and Finance voted to approve, 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you, ma'am. And Chair Pro Tem Welsh for Arts, Parks, and Libraries, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to approve.
Okay. I should have come to you second for your report so that you could make that motion. Go ahead, Ms. Porterfield.
Move for approval with a brief comment.
All right. Is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This just extends the date that artists are able to spend, any artist that is approved for the grants, it extends the amount of time that they're able to spend the money. So initially we passed legislation that said that it would be, that they would have until June 1st to spend it. Now it's until June 30th so that they have the full fiscal year to spend this money. I just ask that my colleagues please support this so that we can give artists the maximum amount of time to spend the money.
All right. I appreciate that. We've got a motion to approve. I think, Ms. Evans, you had shared with us, will you be an abstention? Which wants to vote no? We have to do a roll call vote, okay? All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would, please open the machine. Members, you are voting on Agenda Item 12, Resolution 2025-1007, as just described to you by sponsor Porterfield. Are any other members seeking to vote? Councilman Druffel, sir, are you voting? That's okay. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. The motion to approve has passed. It was on there, not there. It's here. That's great. 33 in favor, 2 voting no, and 0 abstentions. You have adopted this resolution. Okay. Next is Agenda Item 14, Resolution 2025-1099, sponsor Porterfield and Evans. This is a resolution to improve intergovernmental mutual aid agreement by and between the Metropolitan Nashville Department of Communications, a department of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, and the Fairfax County Department of Public Safety Communications. Ms. Porterfield, I'm going to flip it this time. Go to Ms. Evans first. You can go right into your motion after that. Chair Evans, you are recognized.
Committee reports.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We recommended approval of this one, and it was, let's see, I'm trying to find the item number. Recommended approval of the substitute at 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and then the substitute or the bill is amended or resolution as amended, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, all right, it is back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for your report and a motion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered RS 2025-1009 and voted 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the substitute, and 13 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the resolution as substituted. And with that, I move for a approval with a brief explanation.
All right, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. Go ahead, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is an agreement that, intergovernmental agreement that we've had for a while now between Metro and the Fairfax County Department of Public Safety and Communications. And in essence, when we are having some type of like emergency here in which we would get an influx of calls, it will route some of those calls to Fairfax County so that they can take those calls. So if you think of like any of our emergency situations where we're getting a lot of calls, it will lessen the delay of people being able to get to dispatch. And again, we've had this agreement for a while now, so we are just asking for support so that we can continue the agreement. And with that, I renew my motion.
All right, are you seeking to move your substitute?
I would like to move my substitute.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, there is a motion to substitute, properly seconded. My notes say here that's just a housekeeping substitute. Ms.
Housekeeping
Porterfield?
substitute, yes,
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion to substitute? Seeing none, all in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Okay, any voting no or abstaining? All right, and Ms. Porterfield, I now need a motion for approval as substituted,
Move
please.
for approval as substituted.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. All right, any voting no or abstaining? Okay. You have adopted that resolution as substituted. All right, next is Agenda Item 20, Resolution 2025-1015, sponsors Porterfield, Gadd, and Allen, a resolution approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and My Goat, Inc., to provide equipment, services, and software for robotic mowers for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Ms. Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Let's see now, Arts, Parks, and Libraries Pro Tem Chair Welsh.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Apple Committee voted for a 1-meeting deferral, 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Ms. Porterfield, can you share the report of Budget and Finance as well?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted 12 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to approve the motion.
Okay. With the committee having recommended a deferral, it is a mandatory deferral by rule, Rule 8.1, due to the 1-meeting deferral in the Parks Committee. Okay. So that will be deferred 1 meeting to the next agenda. All right. Next is Agenda Item 37. Resolution 2025-1032, Sponsor Styles, is a resolution honoring the life of Larissa A. Jackson. Ms. Stiles, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Chair Prep T for Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to approve.
Okay. Back to you, Ms. Stiles.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move for approval with a brief comment, if I may.
Is there a second? Okay, back to you.
Colleagues, you may remember it was in December, there was a tragic car accident. This is one of our local performers. Larissa has performed at our Minority Caucus receptions. She actually is one of the first Black performer to have a residency at 1230 on Broadway and was very beloved. And so this is a resolution honoring her life. She left behind 3 kids, was very, very, very lovely soul. And so I would like to put the Murphy 12-3, whatever that rule is, on here, onto this resolution.
Okay, so Ms. Stiles is amending her motion for approval with Rule 12.3 such that all members voting in the affirmative will be signed on as a co-sponsor. Is there any objection to the amendment of that motion? Okay, and it's seconded. Do I hear a second? To apply Rule 12.3? Okay. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted that resolution with Rule 12.3 applied. Okay. Next is Agenda Item 38, Resolution 2025-1033, sponsored Bradford and Rutherford. This is a resolution commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Sister Cities partnership between Nashville and Davidson County and Belfast, Northern Ireland. Mr. Bradford, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Chair Prep T, Rules, Confirmations, Public Elections, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. The committee considered the late filed nature of the substitute and voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting to suspend the rules to consider the substitute, and then substituted the bill and voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting on the bill or on the resolution as substituted.
Okay, got it. All right, let's see. So, Mr. Bradford, it's back to you first to get the bill before us, sir.
All right, I'd like to move the bill before us.
Okay, he's moved approval. It's properly seconded. And then you need to now request a suspension of the rules.
Formally requesting suspension of the rules.
Okay. Members have heard the report of Chair Prep T as to the late filed nature of this substitute and the suspension of the rules. Is there anyone objecting to the suspension of the rules? Seeing none, the rules are suspended. So it's back to you, Mr. Bradford, for discussion or a motion on your substitute.
Motion to move substitute with brief comment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded. You're on your substitute, sir.
Thank you. Just a brief explanation of the nature of the late filed. So I initially filed a resolution on time with basic language. We did not get the formal approved language from the Sister Cities Board until after the filing deadline. So therefore, that's why we are bringing the substitute as a late filed. The substitute contains the approved language from the Board of Directors for Sister Cities and some more information that the original did not have.
All righty. Thank you for that explanation. Is there any further discussion on the motion to substitute? Seeing none, all in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, and it's back to you for a motion to approve as substituted.
Motion to approve with brief comment.
Okay, there's a motion to approve as substituted. Is there a second? Okay, go ahead with your remarks. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to let the body and those who are watching know that what we're celebrating this year is a significant milestone, being honored here locally by a symposium hosted by Belmont and Fisk Universities, as well as Queen's University in Belfast. And this symposium is going to be focused on peace, reconciliation, civil rights, and the lessons that have been derived from our two cities' shared histories. This gathering will engage with hundreds of individuals, businesses, and organizations with both Belfast and Nashville to celebrate and strengthen our important partnership. Information on that symposium can be found at Belmont's website, as well as my Facebook page and Sister Cities as well. And then I would like to amend my motion to apply Rule 12.3 so that all those voting in favor will be added as sponsors. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have amended our motion such that it is a motion to approve as substituted with Rule 12.3 applied, such that all members voting in the affirmative will be listed as co-sponsors. Is there any objection to the amendment of that motion to apply that rule? Okay, seeing none, is there any further discussion on this resolution about the 30th anniversary of our partnership with Belfast? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? All right, we have adopted that resolution. All right. Okay, next is agenda item 39, resolution 2025-1034, sponsors Vo and Swara. This is a resolution recognizing the 60th anniversary of the Metropolitan Human Relations Commission. And with Ms. Vo not with us this evening, I will recognize you, Ms. Swara, as co-sponsor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
All right, Mr. Prep-T, for your report, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. The Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections Committee voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
All right, it's back to you, Ms. Swara, for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you. I'd like to move for approval with Rule 12.3 applied and a brief comment.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Back to you.
Thank you. This resolution honors one of our agencies in Nashville, the Metro Human Rights Commission. Human Relations Commission was established in 1965. This was done at the height of racial tension in Nashville and in the country. And this commission has done a lot of great work. When you look at their bylaws and you look at the purpose of this commission, it says that the commission shall protect and promote the personal dignity of all people by supporting their safety, health, security, peace, and general welfare. And they do this in a lot of ways. I had the opportunity to interact with this agency even before I became a council person. When Carolyn Blackwood was there, I remember the taxi drivers fighting for a union because they felt like they were being cheated out of their money, and it was the Metro Human Relations Commission that actually helped make that happen. And I remember when Melody Fowler was there, was when we got involved with the cadet training that actually take police cadets through the different communities, the Black, the LGBTQ, the Muslim, Jewish, all the communities, so that they can better understand the community that they serve. And since David Tucker has been on, and since I've been on council, he's a constant here, always talking about what's going on. I want to lift up some of the things that they've done. The agency has an inclusivics report that looks at the demographics of all the departments in Metro to be able to make sure that we have equity. They were also able to work on language access, which they presented to the immigrant community a while back, looking at making sure that we're able to serve everyone in Nashville. We all know the work that MHRC did when it came to the issue with the Arts Commission, and they also have this new program that they're doing called Humans Against AIDS campaign, looking at all the AIDS that is going on in our country, making sure that we continue to look at each other as people, as human beings. And so I want to lift up this agency for the incredible work that it's been doing for 60 years. I also want to use the opportunity to invite all of you. They have a celebration on Monday, February 10. It will be at 11 at the Music City Center. This is an organization, an agency that is making sure that there are guardrails, as we usually like to use it, because anytime there's power, people tend to misuse it. And so whether it's the citizens, the elected, anyone in Nashville, this is an agency that's been able to make sure that we have equity and justice for everyone, a city for all people. And with that, I want to renew my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Suara. Appreciate that. Any further discussion for the motion to approve with Rule 12.3 applied? Okay, Ms. Ellis, you're recognized.
I just wanted to make sure that 12.3 can be applied, or ask if it can be applied.
Indeed. In fact, Ms. Suara, right out of the gate, put it as part of her initial motion, and that's why you didn't kind of notice some extra stuff. So she was being super efficient there. Thank you. All right, properly moved and seconded. Seeing no one else seeking discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? All right, you have adopted that resolution. Get back. All right, next is agenda item 40, resolution 2025-1035, sponsors Toombs, Porterfield, Stiles, Gamble, Lee, Taylor, Ellis, and Suara. This is a resolution recognizing February 2025 as Black History Month in Nashville and Davidson County. Ms. Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Chair Prep T for the report of rules and confirmations, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. The committee voted 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Thank you for that. It's back to you, Ms. Toombs, for a motion on your resolution.
I'd like to move for approval as well as invoke Rule 12.3.
Okay. Ms. Toombs has moved approval with.
With a brief comment, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Rule 12.3 applied such that all voting in the affirmative will be listed as co-sponsors. Is there a second for that motion? Okay. All right. It's properly moved and seconded. It's back to you, Ms. Toombs.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I pulled this off of consent because we are currently living in a time where every day it seems to be an attempt to erase and disregard Black history. And I wanted for the council to out loud and proudly say that we celebrate Black history in our city, that we respect and recognize the contributions of Black Americans to our country. Black history is American history. We have made significant contributions to this country. We are the fabric of this country. I would encourage my colleagues and the public to take out time to learn about Black history. If you feel like you don't know a lot about it, there are a lot of resources in our city. We have a National African American Museum of Music. We have the Sound Museum on Jefferson Street. There's good old Google. Or you can Google Black Americans in history. There are a lot of Black-owned businesses in our city that you can patronize. You like cupcakes, go to Cupcake Factory. You like hot chicken, you got Prince's, which is the original. And I gotta plug 400 Degrees, that's in my district. You go up and down Buchanan Street, Jefferson Street, there are a plethora of Black-owned businesses, especially restaurants. Please patronize them because again, they're important to Nashville as well. And with that, I renew my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Toombs. Okay, properly moved and seconded with Rule 12.3 applied, and now we are on to discussion. Ms. Suara, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to note that since the meeting has started, Councilmember Porterfield has been singing the Negro anthem next to me. And so I just want you all to know that if you don't know it, she's been humming and in honor of Black History Month. So just wanted to leave that up.
Okay, if we are wanting lessons on song and verse, we know where to go. Thank you. Next is Councilmember Ewing. You're recognized.
Thank you very much. I wanted to express solidarity with my colleagues here on council, with Black Americans everywhere. Black history is our history, to echo Quante Toombs' words. At a time when other levels of government are attempting to erase, nullify, take power away from different groups, it is so important on the local level that we hold the line. It is up to us to be there for each other, to support each other, and I just wanted to rise to express my solidarity and my support. Yes, let's celebrate all month. And actually, you know what? Every freaking month, because February is not enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and cupcake collection is also a great business.
Thank you, Ms. Ewing. Councilmember Huffman, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick add of support for this as well. So just a quick story. My son attends a very diverse daycare, and they have started celebrating Black History Month. And every day when I pick him up for school, on the wall, there's a different leader, and we talk about what they did. He's not even 3, but it's so important to me and my wife for our son to understand Black history. So I stand in solidarity, and I encourage all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huffman. Councilmember Gamble, Chair Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to add that there is a wonderful room dedicated to Black history, particularly in Nashville at the Downtown Public Library. It's open year-round, but particularly if you haven't been, take the time to go and check it out. Thanks.
Yes, our civil rights room on the second floor of the Downtown Library. Thank you. Councilmember Porterfield, Chair Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm not going to sing, even though Council Lady Soror has been begging me.
She gave you a pretty good lead in there.
Based on my phenomenal singing skills, Council Lady Soror has been begging me. But I did want to lift up that, colleagues, on your desk, you will see a beautiful bracelet from the Minority Caucus. And thank you to Council Lady Toombs, who was able to do this. And we have pencils for everyone, as well as bracelets. So in addition to voting in the affirmative for this legislation, you can also show a little bit of solidarity with the bracelet. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Porterfield. Ms. Toombs, I will recognize you again. It's okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I wanted to take the time also in celebration of Black History Month is the Minority Caucus's annual reception. On February the 25th, we have Soledad O'Brien as our keynote speaker. So 5:30 p.m., February 25th, come out and celebrate Black History Month with us.
Yes, mark your calendars. It is also on your internal Outlook calendar.
It is free.
It's free, and it's there, and you can find it there as well. So thank you so much. All right, seeing no one else seeking to be recognized for further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, you have adopted this resolution. All right. Okay, now we are in section M of our agenda, bills on introduction and first reading. Without objection, all items on first reading may be voted on at the same time, but I do understand we may have some items that need to be pulled from first reading consideration. If that is the case, if you would please get into the queue to do so. Okay, Mr. Horton, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to pull items 42 and 43, BL 2025 703 and 704.
Okay, I appreciate that. Agenda items 42, 43, ordinances BL 2025-703 and 704, sponsors Gadd and Horton, will be pulled from a consolidated vote, and then we'll come back to those after, okay? Seeing no one else seeking to be recognized, is there a motion for approval of all the items remaining on the first consideration, properly seconded? So without objection, okay? All items on first reading have been approved, with the exception of those two just removed. And so with that, we will go back. And Mr. Horton, I will read these into the record. Agenda item 42, sponsor Gadd and Horton, ordinance BL 2025-703 and its companion bill 704. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance, the metro government, by applying identifying a historic landmark overlay district for property located at 4301 Harding Pike, 296 feet southwest of Woodlawn Drive, zoned CS and located within the Harding White Bridge Urban Design Overlay. At present in the caption, I believe that's not correct. It says it's 0.26 acres, but that will be remedied at some juncture. And 43, which is again the companion bill that restricts materials in the construction of buildings at those same addresses in 703. Okay, with that in the record now, Mr. Horton, it's to you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. These are Councilmember Gadd's bills. Is it a can I move for a two-meeting deferral, please?
You may. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and properly seconded. There is a motion to defer first reading of this bill 2 meetings. Is that accurate, staff? Reflects Ms. Gadd's wishes? Okay. Is there any discussion on the 2-meeting deferral? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. Both these items will have their first reading deferred 2 meetings. Okay. So with that, we have disposed of all the items on introduction and first reading. And then now we are moving into our second reading items that were not on consent. Okay, first is agenda item 80. This is ordinance BL 2025-688. Sponsors Sepulveda, Gadd, Prep T, Toombs, Evans, Siegel, Vo, and Porterfield. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 2.147 of the Metro Code of Laws regarding the Nashville Music, Entertainment, and Film Commission. All right. At the request of lead sponsor Sepulveda, I'm going to recognize co-sponsor Porterfield. Ms. Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Okay. First, for the report of Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment, Chair Pro Tem Welsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Apple Committee voted to defer this bill 1 meeting, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. Mr. Prep T, you are recognized, sir, for the report of rules.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Rules voted to defer this 1 meeting, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. With that, by rule 8.1, this is a mandatory 1 meeting deferral. Okay. The second reading will be deferred 1 meeting. All right, next is agenda item 81, ordinance BL 2025-689, sponsors Porterfield, Hill, Stiles, Allen, and Cap. This is an ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding between the Metropolitan Beer Permit Board and the Metropolitan Department of Codes Administration to facilitate cooperation for the enforcement of Title VII and Chapter 9.20 of the Metro Code of Laws. Ms. Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Okay. For the report of Government Operations and Regulations, Chair Hill.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. We voted 6 in favor, 1 against, 1 not voting to defer 3 meetings.
Okay.
April 1st.
Okay, defer 3 meetings to the meeting of April. Is that, what's the first meeting in April? It is? No kidding? No joking? Okay. All right, just making sure. Making sure it's not an April Fool's. That's actually 4 meetings, though. So did you was there a motion to defer to a date certain for the first meeting in April? Or was there a motion for a certain number of meetings? Let's go. Okay.
It was for 3 meetings. I must have written it down wrong. I looked at it wrong.
Okay, so the motion in committee was a 3-meeting deferral.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, is there? Okay. do we have the vice chair of the committee, just as far as anyone want to make a point of order in that regard? Mr. Eastlick, what is your recollection?
Yes, it was to be deferred until April 1st.
Okay, until the
certain.
meeting of April 1st, date certain. Staff, do we concur with that? Okay, so thank you, no worries. So you've heard the report of Ms. Hill, and so it's back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for your report.
Thank you. Budget and Finance considered BL 2025-689 and voted 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And with that, I would like to move for approval.
Okay. Okay, so there is a motion to approve, and it is properly seconded. Okay, and now we are on to discussion. Okay, first in the queue is Ms. Stiles. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. So, colleagues, this memorandum is the result of 4 years of work with myself, the Codes Department, the Night Mayor, Benton McDonough. Originally, we had MMPD and Fire and Health all at the table, multiple iterations to try and get this to work. And what we have before us is the ultimate result, which is Director Herbert giving 2 positions from Codes and the finances for those 2 positions to go to the night mayor's office, since his office handles nighttime activities and Codes handles activities during the day. These 2 inspectors will be trained in the Codes training process. Then they will be working with Benton. The plan has always been that because the night mayor is primarily downtown, take them on for the first couple of months as a pilot to figure out how these inspectors will work with MMPD, because they will not be going anywhere on their own. They will be going with MMPD. So we will start downtown, but then this is a county-wide plan. This is never intended to just be for downtown. I certainly wouldn't have proposed it for downtown. I've got too many issues in Antioch. That's why I proposed it. I need someone to come around and check on the illegal chop shops and bright lights and noise complaints and all of those things. So this was a compromise. Great. We get this team committed, created. It starts downtown, and then it's going to branch out. So we can see how it's working. By the time we get to budget, we can have a good conversation about nighttime codes, because when I first brought this up, we were falsely told that there are only 27 nighttime code violations in the whole city all year round. And that was just not even possible. This team will address all the violations that the code team during the day cannot do. Right now, there's only 1 day a month, and it moves around that they go and investigate nighttime violations. And most of those things are long since passed. So if it's a party violation, it's well passed over. Having a nighttime coach team, we'll be able to send people, whether it is Germantown, not just downtown. There are plans right now. If you look in your email, Mr. McDonough did send an email clarifying this. And I only have 15 seconds, so I guess I'll put myself in the queue again, because I would like to read that email to all of you, because I'm sure that you guys haven't seen it, but it explains this is not targeting anyone downtown. The function is to pilot downtown for a couple of months and then move these people around the entire county. So I would ask for your approval and no deferrals so that we can get these people hired. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stiles. You might want to perhaps have a fellow supporter read from some of that email, because we've got quite a few people in the queue, and you have had your time to speak. So next is Mr. Coupin. You're recognized, sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Madam President. I echo what my colleague has said. Across my district, from Germantown to Midtown, Gulch, we've got construction noise issues, we've got overnight issues. And one of the big issues of that is that we don't have folks that are able to come out and address those in the overnight hours. Just last night, I was at a historic Germantown Neighborhood Association meeting where the Office of Nightlife came and spoke, and that neighborhood is incredibly excited to have people, build relationships with the business, but also have the enforcement piece as well to make sure that we're, balancing neighborhoods and businesses. I have heard from a number of downtown constituents who are worried that this is going to be another iteration of layered enforcement downtown. And in Director McDonough's email, in prior comments and conversations, my understanding and my hope and intention is that's not the case, that this is not just focusing on downtown, not just focusing on Broadway, but really looking countywide. As my colleague said, that this is a pilot program to start to get these inspectors rolled in and used to the process and used to working and the hours and the operation. But I know I personally will be calling them for Germantown, Midtown, Gulch, other areas. We've got plenty of stuff going on Broadway. We don't need another layer of enforcement down there. But this is kind of where they're gonna start. But again, I want to make it really clear that this is not designed to target downtown in any way. And my hope and intention is that it's not going to do that. But I know I've got a lot of neighborhoods excited to have this effort take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coupin. Next is Councilmember Allen. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I rise in support of this without deferrals. We've been waiting for this for a long time, and we need it to start. And with permission, I will sit down so that the glare is not too bad. So I can read the email that we got since we asked about that, which says, Mr. McDonough says, first of all, this is a pilot project that has been in the works for several years now that came when I got involved with when the Office of Nightlight was created in November 2022. Codes does not currently conduct inspections or site violations at night. Therefore, we requested 2 additional inspectors to pair with the Office of Nightlight to address the many complaints that we receive through HUB on a daily basis. These issues concern noise coming from business, illegal auto businesses, bright lights from neighboring business, or codes violations by food trucks and parking lots. And this occurs all over the county. Our office is currently located on 2nd Avenue. And starting our inspectors in an area in close proximity to our office seems the appropriate first step. We will be coordinating with MNPD to address complaints as they come up. In order to create and reach an agreement on a MOU, we agreed that we would initially only address complaints from locations with beer permits, but that will likely change as the pilot progresses over the first 2 months. This is in no way an action to target bars or businesses along Broadway. We expect to spread out across the area to areas outside the entertainment district very quickly. If you have additional questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And so this is important to start this pilot, and I can't see any value to deferring until April. So I move for approval tonight.
Okay. All right. We are still on discussion of the motion to approve. Mr. Cash, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you. I want to reinforce what the previous council members have said. We've been talking about this for a long time, for years. And, we in this city, we have a lot of noise problems, and some of the noise problems represent some of the frustration that folks feel about the growth, whether it's construction noise or blasting or entertainment type noise. Like this, we have all kinds of noise problems, and this is one step to have some tools to help deal with this. We don't need to wait 2 more months to talk about this. I encourage people to support the bill, and let's not defer it. Thank you. And I would like to give the remainder of my time to Councilmember Stiles if she needs it.
Ms. Stiles, that letter has been read into the record per your wishes. So can we keep moving through the queue, ma'am? Okay, I appreciate that. All right, and thank you for your collegiality, Mr. Cash, rather. And next is Mr. Cap. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I support this resolution. We've got a systematic problem about enforcing our code at night. District 6 has got nighttime noise issues, and my support of this, with great respect to downtown, is primarily motivated by those needs. Based on the comments in the room tonight, we may be having to arm wrestle over who gets Benton's attention first, but let's not defer this.
Thank you, Mr. Cap. Ms. Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just want to reiterate everything that has been said already in a very short, concise way. I asked back in 2021, whenever COVID was going through all of the peaking that it was doing, because in light of everyone being home, I had way more nighttime codes violations to deal with because there were so many people that were home all the time. They were not traveling. They were not going to their jobs, everything else. And it was very, very difficult to try to navigate, kind of balance resident needs with the hours of our codes department. I think this is a really good solution. It's a good starting point. To Councilmember Cap's point, we are going to have to be arm wrestling. I asked for us to be deputized back in those days so we could go out and issue our own codes violations. Nobody thought that was a good idea, so you can thank former or current Director Herbert for that. He said, that's probably not smart. So anyway, with that, I would like to renew the motion to approve tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are still on the motion to approve. Mr. Horton, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I rise in support of this as well. I hope that the program follows its intent to expand to other districts other than 19. We have a lot of nighttime codes issues in our district, whether that's noise complaints or nighttime construction or similar issues. And as far as the pilot program starting in District 19, I'm encouraged that it has the support of the District 19 council member and trust him to know his district. And so we'll be voting in favor of this with no deferrals. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eastlick, you're recognized.
Yes, I support a deferment on this. I think by getting the email right here during the meeting from Benton McDonough shows that we're not actually clear or on the same page as to how this should work. If you look at the needs of night, yes, we do need codes, but even in the committee meeting earlier today, Mr. Herbert said that they were not comfortable sending their inspectors out at night, that they did not want to do that. So if we're going to have people going out at night, and it seems like they're going to have police officers with them under this, then why can't they be under the codes side instead of the beer board or the nightlife? As somebody that has a district where right now there's probably, I know the place, probably working on cars at this moment being very loud. And so we do need that. But I would rather see it stay under the codes guides rather than the nightlife. One, we don't need more targeting on Broadway. There's plenty of police, plenty of protection, and plenty of people down there to keep the codes already in that way. Secondly, we need to have more resources that are focused on outside of downtown. And by putting this under McDonough and putting it on the Broadway side, then it's going to stay, or at least in the beginning, and probably stay more located to downtown. Lastly, if we're going to hire and train people for a 2-month pilot, is that what we do? I don't think we're going to go through all that expense and all that work to try to get somebody up and running and then say, it didn't work. So it needs to stay under the codes department and not under the director of nightlife department. So with that, I would like to move for a 1 month or 1 meeting deferral.
Okay, I was going to ask if there is a second. Okay, so that is a prevailing motion. So we are on, and I apologize, Mr. Eastlick, that was a 1 meeting deferral. It was properly seconded. And so we are now discussing a deferral motion. Okay, Ms. Ellis, do you want to speak on the deferral? Okay. You are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The idea of this program or pilot program expanding to Antioch, I don't have high hopes in. I've lived in Antioch 12 years, and we have not been prioritized on any program pushed by multiple departments. I asked for the deferral because back in 2021, there was an internal audit done on codes, and they are still outstanding on 2 items that was recommended to be completed and marked as a high-risk assessment under that audit, and those have still not been brought into compliance. So why in the world would we move money out of the codes department that is out of compliance, according to the audit department, over to the beer and permit folks to focus a program on downtown? The people south of the airport, specifically in my district, have said over and over again, giving money to folks in downtown and programs focusing on downtown, it's enough. Enough is enough. And so I asked for a 2-meeting deferral because I have a virtual meeting scheduled with Metro Codes. They're going to talk to us about some improvements that they have made with hiring an attorney for the environmental court and hiring a paralegal. I would like the opportunity to hear about some of those changes because up until now, I have no idea what those changes are. As I'm preparing for the upcoming budget season, I'm reading what departments have gone through an audit, and property standards, that is something that is not in compliance yet. So I ask my colleagues, just consider when it comes to codes and moving money out of that department, is that a good idea? And if not, at least have codes to come out and talk to you to let you know why it would be.
Okay, to clarify, the motion that is before us is a 1-meeting deferral.
Yeah, I'm against the 1-meeting deferral, and I want to move a motion for a 2-meeting deferral.
Is there a second for that motion?
So that would be the March the 18th meeting.
Okay, hold just a moment. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want there to be a 2-meeting deferral, your motion would be to amend the 1-meeting deferral motion to be a 2-meeting deferral.
Would that land after March the 11th? I just want time to hear from codes to let me know what they've been doing. That's it.
No, it would not. Do you have?
So that would be 3 meetings to land us on April the 1st. Does someone have a calendar?
Okay, you may amend or you may move to amend the current deferral motion, okay, to be a motion to defer to a date certain.
Okay.
The meeting of April 1st.
Yeah, so
okay?
a 4-meeting deferral.
Just say April 1st to a
April
date
1st.
certain, okay? The meeting of April 1st. Quiet, please, in the room. Is there a second for that motion to amend? Okay, so there is a motion to amend the deferral to a date certain of April the 1st. It is properly seconded, and that is what we are now discussing, okay? We are discussing whether or not to amend that motion, okay? Is anyone seeking to be recognized to speak in favor or against that motion to amend? I'm going to look to my queue, Ms. Johnson first, okay, because Ms. Lee is in the queue first, and she's seeking to be recognized for that purpose, so I'm going to acknowledge Councilmember Lee first.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I am standing to support the motion to defer. I would like for us to go ahead and support the committee's decision to defer. We are not talking about, I am not talking about whether this is a good project or not. Sounds like a good project. There were some questions in the committee that could not be answered or were not answered correctly, and the committee was looking at money being moved, not at the project. Nobody is saying that is not a good project. It's just the way things were being done. I believe that this deferral will help us get questions answered and be able to see things clearly. So I am asking my colleagues to support your committee that wanted to defer this and to defer it. Thank you.
Okay. We have a point of order. And again, if you want to make a point of order, you simply stand and say point of order. So go ahead, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to give a point of order that Budget and Finance Committee voted for this unanimously. So.
Okay, that's not a point of order.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't say point of order.
Okay, we heard the committee reports earlier. Budget and Finance did, to clarify, vote for approval, 11 and 0. And the report of the Government Operations Committee, as Ms. Lee alluded to in her remarks, was a deferral to the date certain of April 1st, and that was a 6-1-1 vote. We are now on Ms. Ellis's motion to amend the deferral motion such that it is to the date certain of April 1st. It has been properly seconded. We are on discussion. Ms. Lee has spoken. Next in the queue is Ms. Welsh. Do you seek to be recognized specifically on this deferral? Okay. Mr. Prep T, do you seek to be recognized? Ms. Johnston, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to make sure that if we are going to defer this, that we're actually moving in the right direction and actually having good conversations. I think one of the biggest concerns is not necessarily, because I think we all have issues in our district at night that are not being addressed because there's no one to actually see the violations. By the time the morning comes, it's gone. So I understand that concern. I have the same thing in my district. I think the biggest concern is the movement of money for budgeted FTEs from codes to Office of Nightlife or whatever we call it. That's a little bit of a concern to me, and I just wanted to give the administration the opportunity to answer the question. I'm sure there's a reason why codes said, hey, we can't handle this. It needs to be done here. I also understand the idea of a pilot where you start small and expand so that you can learn what works, what doesn't work. That's a smart way to do something like this before you just roll out something countywide. So I think the biggest concern, if I'm hearing correctly, is just who is going to be managing this and where that money is going to be taken from and applied to. So can the administration answer why that shift is necessary and supported by both codes and the Office of Nightlife?
Okay, Mr. Rosenberg, for the administration, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Council member, so this comes out of an MOU that resulted from a bill passed last term by Councilmember Syracuse that calls for MNPD, codes, and TDOT to do this first round of noise enforcement together. And there was an MOU there, and codes would take responsibility for parts of the noise ordinance. Codes got the positions that they needed to in order to comply with that. But they found, number one, it was challenging getting somebody to apply given that their structure is not built around nighttime enforcement right now. And secondly, the beer board has already has a presence, does this, works closely with MNPD on it, since this part of the process is about places that areas where there are places with beer permits. So codes got these positions specifically for this purpose and are transferring those to the beer board to comply with this previous legislation.
So thank you for that. Is any amount of deferral going to change any of that? Meaning, are we gonna, is there an amendment that would be appropriate to address concerns, or is the stance with codes and the Office of Nightlife gonna remain the same and we just either need to be okay with it or say no completely? I'm saying is, what are we gonna be doing in this time of deferral? If this stance is not going to change, what's the purpose of the deferral? And there may be one. I just want to know if you think that there's room for movement there.
Mr. Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I can't speak for the intent of a deferral. I can say that this is, countywide, delaying the pilot seems like delaying any countywide application too, but I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Ellis, point of order. What? I'm sorry, let me turn on your mic. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a clarifying question of the administration?
No, ma'am. A point of order is particular to where we are in the order of business in the motion. If you want a clarification around, are we, is the
point of
motion
inquiry based on information that was given?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get back in the queue.
I am in the queue. I'll
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Johnston, for your questions that were particular to the merits of a deferral. Again, Colleagues, the motion that is before us was made by Ms. Ellis to amend the deferral motion to the date certain of April 1st. Mr. Nash, are you seeking to be recognized on that deferral motion? Or the motion to amend the deferral motion? Okay.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
I call the question.
Okay. All right. Mr. Nash has called the question. Is there a second? Okay, this is a non-debatable motion. It requires 2/3 of those voting. And what that means is that we will move straight to the vote on Ms. Ellis's motion, okay? So if you are in favor of the calling the question, you want to move right to the vote now on this, okay? Of Ms. Ellis's motion. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye. Any opposed to the calling the previous question? Okay. The motion to call the previous question prevails. And so we will move now to the vote on Ms. Ellis's motion. Mr. Clerk, I know this is a long motion, but could we get it on the board? I just think for clarity and because people are at a wide variety of places and I don't want to have to kind of assess the voices in the room. Yes, ma'am.
I think that was incorrect, but read this and I'll come back and get my phone after phone.
Clarification from Special Counsel Darby. Would you just go ahead and restate that, please, Ms. Darby, so everyone is clear on what we are voting on? Go ahead, please, ma'am.
If this motion passes, then we will go to a vote to defer to April 1. If this motion fails, we go back to the motion to defer for one meeting and then vote on that.
Okay.
What are we voting on? Are we voting on calling the question?
No, we are, the call the question already prevailed. We are moving to the motion of Ms. Ellis to amend the deferral motion.
To amend it, then we vote on it as amended.
Correct.
Point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
Could Ms. Darby clarify what a point of order is?
She can.
Or, I'm sorry, a point of inquiry is?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Ms. Darby.
I'm still learning.
A point of inquiry would be a question to the presiding officer about some procedural question or where we are on the agenda or what the current motion is that we're about to vote on. That would be a point of inquiry.
Okay, and so that also covers investigating the motion that's on the floor or investigating the issue that's being raised.
If you had a question about where we are in the agenda, that would be a point of
the content.
The content
It's
would
not covered
be
under the point of inquiry. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Prepti for a point of parliamentary inquiry. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you,
Chair.
Madam Vice Mayor. And my question is, so we have now called the question on the amended motion to defer to a date certain of April 1st. If that motion does not prevail, are we then proceeding to automatically voting on the subsequent motion?
No.
Or will there be
We
discussion?
will be back on discussion.
Okay.
Because that's where we were, right? So we were on discussion of the one meeting deferral motion by Mr. Eastlick. Ms. Ellis made a prevailing motion to amend the deferral motion such that it was not just one meeting. It was in fact multiple meetings to the date certain of April 1st. So we have to dispose of that. Members rightly didn't want to go around and round about that. So we called the question. The question has prevailed. And what we are voting on now is Ms. Ellis's motion to amend the deferral motion. Depending on how that goes, we're going to be back potentially on Mr. Eastlick's motion.
Yes, thank you for entertaining my parliamentary inquiry.
No worries. Okay. Mr. Clerk? This is a long motion. We got it in the machine, sir? Okay. Mr. Clerk, if you would please open the vote, sir.
wasn't working.
Ms. Darby, this requires a simple majority, correct? Okay, this requires a simple majority, colleagues. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the motion has failed. That means we are now back on Mr. Eastlick's one meeting deferral motion. Okay? Is there any additional discussion on the motion to defer one meeting? At the top of the queue at present is Ms. Welsh. Do you seek to be recognized on that one meeting deferral? Okay. Ms. Welsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have to say that I wasn't going to be recognized on this motion to defer until the administration gave that answer. Because in my government ops meeting, Bill Herbert said exactly the opposite of what people are saying here on the floor. He was asked specifically if this was going to be focused on downtown, and he said he heard McDonough say in budget that it was going to be completely on downtown and it was not going to go out in the city. He also said it couldn't go out into the rest of the city because he was afraid to send all of his people out in the city, that it was too dangerous. He also said the reason they had the money was that they were fully staffed and ramped up and they couldn't spend it on their staff, not at all what Mr. Rosenberg just said. So now I am in support of a one meeting deferral so I can find out who's actually telling the truth about what is going to happen here with these positions, because all the information we got in committee from Bill Herbert is completely different than what has been said here on the floor tonight. So I am now rising in support of a one meeting deferral. Thank you.
All right. Discussion continues on the one meeting deferral motion. Mr. Prep-T, do you seek to be recognized on the one meeting deferral? Okay. Feel free as well if you want to remain in the queue for purposes of whatever happens later, but I would ask if we could just kind of clear the queue if you're not seeking to be recognized on this deferral. Mr. Nash, do you seek to be recognized on the one meeting deferral?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I'm going to speak against the deferral.
Yep.
My recollection of our government ops meeting differs a little bit in that, yes, Bill Herbert initially said his understanding was that they were going to be going outside of downtown for a while, but then when Mr. Donahoe came in, he mentioned, yes, they would after a little time to get people trained up that then they would be going, because he knew of several places at South, and he mentioned some other location that they really had in mind that they were going to try and focus on. So I think that hopefully clears up the difference, and that's in line with what, in my opinion, and what the administration also stated.
Okay. Stand, please. Yes, Ms. Weiner, you are recognized for a point of parliamentary inquiry. Go ahead.
So my trusty phone and I have been texting with Mr. Herbert all night. I can answer the questions if you would like me to, or if you want me to just put myself in the queue.
You need to put yourself in the queue. That's not a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Sounds
okay.
Perfect.
No worries. Ms. Stiles, you have yet to be recognized on the deferral motion, so that is in proper order, and you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I'd like to table the motion.
Okay. Okay.
This could be faster.
Aren't we having fun tonight? Okay. All right. So there is a motion to table. Debate is between the primary sponsor and the maker of the motion. Our rules do not speak to this specifically, but the precedent that I have set is that the maker of the motion will go first. I think that's fair because it allows the person who made the other motion a little time to absorb the fact that they are going to have to debate this, okay? So there is, pardon?
What the hell is happening over there?
Okay. Okay, hey, members, everybody, quiet. Okay. Ms. Lee, you have a point of parliamentary inquiry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question. What percentage of vote is needed to table an amendment?
Okay, Special Counsel Darby has indicated it is a simple majority for the tabling motion to prevail.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Proper question. Okay. All right. So there is a motion to table. Again, this is between debate now between the maker of the motion to table and the sponsor of the motion, which would be Mr. Eastlick. And from a timing perspective, Ms. Darby, what is our time for each? Okay, I'm going to say it's a regular 3 minutes because our rules don't speak to it, so we might want to work on that. Okay, you get your regular 3 minutes. Go ahead, ma'am, on your motion to table the deferral motion.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I think we heard from numerous colleagues in favor of moving this memorandum forward. The reality is, no matter where you live in this city, we are all having problems. Whether you live downtown, North, Antioch, Bellevue, East Nashville, we have issues. We currently do not have a nighttime codes team. When I first inquired about the creation of this team, I was told by the previous administration, by someone who has been here for decades, that multiple administrations had wanted one of these teams, and it just never came to fruition. So in speaking with Director Herbert and getting this conversation started in 21, he happened to leave at the beginning of that. Those conversations ceased because the people that were left in codes really didn't know what they were doing and couldn't handle taking anything new on. And him coming back, the fact that he has been here for just a year and come up with a solution, I am extremely excited about. This removes the onus from codes because their focus is on daytime violations. This allows us to handle the nighttime violations because the night mayor's office is all about being outside at night. These two individuals have codes training. They will go over to the night mayor's office and be able to go outside and handle these violations that are really useless for us if we get constituent photos or videos or anything. That doesn't help them. For the 1 day a month that they're going out for nighttime codes, it's not very effective. Those violations, as I said, have gone and passed. If we defer this MOU, we are deferring the opportunity to hire these individuals. That we want as much time as possible on this pilot to see how it's working. We're only getting 2 people. They're starting downtown. It's February. We still have to post the job, do the hiring, all of those things. So we're not going to have a lot of time. But the reality is this team is not created to target any specific area in town. The creation is for the entire county. We are merely starting downtown. This is not about ignoring Antioch. Why would I do that? I want them to come to Antioch. I, in fact, need them desperately to come to Antioch. So whatever happened in the past, we are moving forward and departments are being supportive of our area. This is a great move forward. I am asking you all to please forget about this deferral. Let us move forward. We have work to do. This is something that other cities are already reaching out to the night mayor and saying, oh my gosh, how did you get this accomplished? I'm trying to get this done in our city. So this is an opportunity for us to be on the forefront of something great. Nashville has made a lot of great decisions in other departments. This is another opportunity for us. Let's not waste time. I think there has been unnecessary confusion.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Eastlick, you are now recognized. You've heard Ms. Stiles speaking on the motion to table your deferral motion, 1 meeting deferral. So now you are speaking in defense of that 1 meeting deferral and against the tabling motion. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yes. This would allow some code stuff to be done at night, but having it under the heading of the nightlife and of the beer board would be like having a Phillips head screwdriver when you need a flathead. Yes, it's a screwdriver, but it's not going to get the job done. With the emails coming from McDonough here right in the middle of this, we have no idea what's going on. We heard from the administration. We heard from McDonough. We've heard from a lot of people, but we don't know. And even Mr. Nashbeck here has helped us
Mr.
understand.
Eastlick, excuse me, council members, please be quiet over there. Thank you.
Has tried to tell us what he heard. What I heard in that meeting was Bill Herbert isn't comfortable sending his codes people out at night. Then if that's the case, then it's only going to be downtown. If we're going to have police with them and they're going to be downtown, then why can't we have the police with them when they go to Antioch or when they go to Old Hickory? We need a true codes person to be going around at night, not a makeshift codes person that's going to be mostly downtown, except when we decide we've had enough, we're going to go outside to the other areas. There are specific needs in our districts, and they don't start downtown. Downtown has enough resources, and already the nightlife down there taking care of what's going on. I know I've been on a couple of calls with McDonough in my area on nightlife issues, and that's completely different than what we're seeing with codes. So we need to take this away from the heading of nightlife and of beer board and put it under codes where it was originally supposed to be. And even speaking with Councilmember Stiles, she said that they had to make a deal, and this was the deal they came up with. Well, it's not the right deal. It isn't what should be out there. We should not be moving employees from department to department to try to act like they're going to work in the other department. We need a true codes night person or two. And that way we can have all the things from the loud noises to the people working on cars to the more cars at night when everybody gets home and parks in their yards. Because if you have gone through this code stuff, they actually need pictures from a codes person to be able to take it to environmental court and hold up. So if you got a problem at night and they're putting cars in the yard, then that's when we need that. But we don't need that person walking around downtown trying to find out where speakers are or if this honky tonk is louder than that honky tonk, because the real need is out in the district, and that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's what we can accomplish with the one meeting deferral. And if at that point we're not there, but we're headed in the right direction, we certainly can defer it again. But I would like to make sure with this, it goes under the right way so we get the expectation out of it that we want, not one that we thought we were going to get tonight.
All right. Ms. Stiles has moved to table the one meeting deferral motion. You have heard the debate between Ms. Stiles and Mr. Eastlick. So you are voting on this tabling motion. If you are in favor of the motion to table, it will literally dispose of the one meeting deferral, at which point we will be back on the motion to approve. Okay? Any questions about what we're about to? So you have a point of parliamentary inquiry. Go ahead, please stand, Ms. Kimbrough. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Say that again, please, what you just said.
Okay. So there is a motion to table, okay, dispose of the one meeting deferral motion of Mr. Eastlick. Okay, so that's what they were debating here. So if you are in favor of the motion to table, you are tabling, disposing of the one meeting deferral motion of Mr. Eastlick, at which point we will be back on the motion to approve. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to have the board that says yay and nay, or are we going to just, what are we getting ready to do, about to do?
It's going to be, Mr. Clerk, I'm going to state this. If I'm incorrect, you can clarify. It is a motion to table the deferral, the one meeting deferral motion.
Are we going to the board?
Yes.
So if you put nay, you're with Eastlick?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's another way to put it. And if you've, okay. All right, Mr. Clerk. Yes, Ms. Lee, point of inquiry. Go ahead.
No, ma'am.
Point of order.
Don't say no. Point of personal privilege. There are people, I have a problem with people laughing at our colleagues if they're asking a question or don't know something, or people saying things smart to make other people in here laugh. We all do not know things. I know I am very inept sometimes, but I think we need to just remember, what if it was us trying to figure out some things?
I appreciate the point you're making. Thank you. All right, no clapping, Ms. Ellis.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody simmer down, okay? All right, we are now on the tabling motion. Mr. Clerk, if you will please open the machines.
You want to say no? You want to push no, that's what you want to do, since you were talking. Special ed. I know. Must be terrible. Go to bed. That's what it is.
All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. Okay, the motion to table has prevailed and passed. Okay, that means that the deferral motion has been disposed of. Now we are back on a motion to approve. Okay, we're on discussion on the motion to approve at this juncture. Okay, Ms. Stiles, you were in the queue prior for your tabling motion. I'm going to clear that out of the queue. Is anyone presently in the queue seeking to be recognized on the motion to approve? Ms. Evans Siegel? Okay, you're recognized. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to clarify a few things for some of my colleagues who may have missed the budget meeting yesterday. This passed unanimously in budget. Both directors were here and recognized that this is a limited pilot. It is limited to downtown because pilots are necessarily limited. I think we can all agree that we have codes violations 24/7 throughout this county, but ramping up the infrastructure to take care of those at night when the codes department is not closed and supervisors are not present is not practical. We did, as a body, approve these positions through codes, but because codes cannot supervise them, the director, in his experience, thought it would be better for an office that was open at night to supervise them so that we have people in the field who are getting trained to do this work so that we can then see improvements throughout the county once we establish how to do this. I think this is a great pilot program. I think that this is money that we have budgeted as a body, and this is allowing the department to spend it so that it is not wasted to solve a problem that we all have, and I support this bill.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Evans Siegel. Ms. Ellis, you have already spoken on the motion to approve, as has Mr. Coopin, okay? Mr. Bradford and Ms. Hancock in the queue have yet to speak on this bill or the motion to approve. And so I will recognize those who have yet to speak. Mr. Bradford, you are recognized. Okay. I apologize, I forgot to hit your mic. Okay. Mr. Bradford has called the previous question. Is there a second? Okay. This is a non-debatable motion that requires 2/3 of those voting. We will try it first by voice. If you are in favor of calling the previous question, that means that we will end debate and we will move straight to the vote on the motion to approve. Okay? All in favor of the previous question, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed to the previous question? Okay, the motion to call the question prevails, and now we are on the vote to approve. Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you will please load the vote. This is a motion to approve.
Sorry. I hate doing point of orders,
That's
but
okay.
there's some there's some confusion on what we're actually voting on. We're not voting on a deferral, correct? We are voting on the approval or disapproval of this bill, period.
That is correct, and that is a appropriate point of order. Correct. Thank you for clarifying that as well. A motion to approve on second reading. Thank you, Chair Parker. Important clarification. Yes, second reading. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for the point of order. Mr. Prep-T, are you seeking to vote? Motion to approve. Yes, sir. Okay. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, please show the vote. This motion has passed second reading with 28 votes yes, 3 votes no, and 4 abstentions. Okay. Next is Agenda Item 82, Ordinance BL 2025-690, sponsors Horton, Weiner, Cortez, Gadd, Coopin, Spain, Bradford, Huffman, Evans, Nash, Hill, Ewing, and Allen. This is an ordinance amending Section 13.08.080 of the Metro Code of Laws pertaining to the use of a community safety camera network. Mr. Horton, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for committee reports, please.
Okay. Chair Evans, for the report of Public Health and Safety, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We recommended a 1-meeting deferral with a re-referral back to Public Health and Safety, 6 in favor, 0 against, 2 not voting.
Okay, with that, per Rule 8.1, that is a mandatory deferral by rule. So the second reading of this ordinance will be deferred to the next meeting. Okay. Next is Agenda Item 86, Ordinance BL 2025-694, sponsors Porterfield and Hill. This is an ordinance approving Amendment Number 2 to a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Splash Business Intelligence, Inc. to extend the term and increase the estimated value of the contract. Ms. Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports. Budget and Finance voted for 1-meeting deferral, 12 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, and Chair Hill for the report of Government Operations and Regulations, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. We voted to approve, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, it's back to you, Ms. Porterfield, for a motion.
I believe it's automatically deferred.
Oh, I apologize. Woo, okay. Per Rule 8.1, this with a 1-meeting deferral in a committee, it is a mandatory deferral by rule. No vote necessary. Okay. Next. Okay, thank you. Is Agenda Item Number 97, sponsor Kimbrough. This is, and we are into now bills on third reading. Agenda Item 97, sponsor Kimbrough, Ordinance BL 2024-621. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, by changing from RS15 to R10 zoning for property located at 4212 Ashland City Highway, approximately 83 feet north of Clintondale Drive. This is 0.53 acres. Okay, Ms. Kimbrough, you are recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to make the motion to move the bill.
Let's see, do we need any committee reports? No? Okay. There is a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, properly moved and seconded.
Okay.
Back to you.
And now I'd like to move the proposed substitute.
Yes. Is there a second for the motion to substitute? Okay, properly moved and seconded. So we're on your substitute. Anything that you would like to say about that before we move to a discussion and a vote on the substitute?
No.
Okay. All right. So there is a motion to substitute from Ms. Kimbrough, properly seconded. let's see, I believe for clarification purposes, the substitute just was going to require simple majority at this juncture? Okay, at this juncture, okay. So all in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Okay, any voting no or abstaining? Okay, so the substitute is on the bill, and now you would move to substitute, or rather to approve as substituted.
Move for approval as substituted.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's properly moved and seconded as substituted. Is there any discussion, anything you would like to clarify, Ms. Kimbrough?
I believe this is the one that's going to need this is going to need the 27 because planning had to disapprove on a technicality because it was moving from non-short-term, is that right? Non-short-term rental to the R15.
So I need to know, if you would like me to recognize planning, I'm very happy to do it.
That's enough.
Okay, all righty. Okay, is there any further discussion on the motion to approve on third reading as substituted? Given the disapproval of the Planning Commission, this will require a roll call vote and 27 votes. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you would please load the vote.
It was a technicality because originally it was a short, no, it was just a regular person. And then they changed it. They went back and some because of technicality, but it's not going to be a short term.
Has everybody voted, members? Okay, Mr. Clerk, with all votes in, if you would please show the vote. All right, the bill passes with 30 votes. It required 27 in favor, none against, and 1 abstention. Okay. Next is agenda item 98, ordinance BL 2024-641, sponsor Welsh. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government, by amending the preliminary plan for a planned unit development district on property located at 3101 Nolensville Pike at the southwest corner of McIver Street and Nolensville Pike. This is Zone CS. It is 1.1 acres, and it is to permit a car wash. Ms. Welsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move my amendment.
Okay, let's see. We need a committee report, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. First, I'd like a committee report, though.
No worries. Chair Gamble for Planning and Zoning, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning recommended approval of the amendment, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and then recommended approval of the bill as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Ms. Gamble. And it's back to you, Ms. Welsh, for a motion on your bill to get it before us, please, first.
I would like to move my bill for approval.
Okay,
And,
is there a second? Okay, go ahead.
and now I would like to move my amendment.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, we're on your amendment.
Thank you. This amendment simply describes exactly what car wash means under this code. The code doesn't have a special category for mechanical car washes, you know, where they have the big brushes and when things are being done by hand. And at this particular location, they're going to be doing all cleaning and detailing inside an enclosed building, and it prohibits the use of a large mechanical mechanicalized, whatever the word is, car wash and everything will be done by hand. Mechanized. Thank you. See, she went to, one of the Seven Sisters. So she's better than me on that stuff, the pronunciations. But that's what the amendment clarifies, so that it's not, to let people know it's not going to be a car wash that, you can come in and do. So with that, I would like to renew my motion to move my bill as amended.
Okay, actually,
to move my
motion
amendment.
to amend. You all have, it was properly seconded. You've heard the description of Ms. Welsh about her amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, now we're back to you for a motion on your bill as amended.
Now I would like to move my bill as amended.
Okay, second. Okay, any discussion on this bill as amended on third and final reading? Is that where we are? Where are we now? Yes.
Third and final reading.
It is, okay. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, this bill has passed its third and final reading as amended. All right, next is agenda items 99 and 100. They are companions to each other. The first is ordinance BL 2024-642, sponsor Coupon. The subsequent one is 643. Mr. Coupon, we're going to have to take up 642 separately to start to get the amendment on it. And then you can make your final motion and consolidate the two, okay? I'm going to read it into the record. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metro government by amending the River North Urban Design Overlay District for various properties located on Cowan Street, Waterside Drive, Oldham Street, North 1st Street, River North Boulevard, Spring Street, and Cowan Court. This is 165.21 acres to update urban design standards related to structured parking and building materials. Mr. Coupon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move the bills.
Okay. You need a committee report.
I would like my committee reports
Okay.
before I move that bill.
Chair Gamble for the report of the Planning and Zoning Committee, please, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning recommended approval. 9 in favor of the amendment, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and then recommended approval of the bill and its companion bill, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
I appreciate you going ahead and getting the companion in there and the amendment. Great. Okay, Mr. Coupon, it is back to you for a motion. First, please, sir, on 642 to get it before us.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move 642, please.
Okay, is there a second? All right, it's back to you.
I'd like to move the amendment.
Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Nope. Seeing none. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay. So the amendment is on the bill, and I need a consolidated motion for 642 and 643.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move Bill 642 as amended, as well as Bill 643.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any voting no or abstaining? Okay, 642 as amended and its companion 643 have passed their third and final reading. Okay, next. Oh, okay. All right, that concludes this evening's agenda. Our next council meeting will be on Tuesday, February 18th. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, we are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.